Good morning all, it's 29 minutes past 9. We are ready to start the day's proceedings. Please make sure that you switch off your devices. Keep them quiet, please. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Masigiri. Good morning, Assistant Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Chair. And good morning, Assistant Director. Yesterday, we stopped on page 10 of your statement. You just finished dealing with the statements you took from what you refer to as objective witnesses, and you're about to start on statements you took from SAPS doc unit members. And that is on paragraph 42 on page 10 of your statement. Do you see that, Assistant Director?
I see that.
Yes. Can we then please proceed to read into the record where you start with Mabule Patrick Sape?
Okay, Commissioners. Statement of Mabule Patrick Sape, as attached, annexure TK15. He stated that he is a sergeant in the South African Police Service, attached to Silverton K9 unit. On Friday 2021, 0709, at about 0900, he was officially on duty with his narcotic dog and working with Sergeant Pakula when they received a call requesting their assistance with their narcotic dog at Aeroton. The allegations were that the container that was at Aeroton needed to be searched for drugs. He immediately contacted his commander to ask for permission to assist, and permission was granted. On arrival at the crime scene, there were a lot of police officers, and they were taken through the crime scene by Warrant Officer Pakula. He asked them to search the truck and the container using their narcotic dog. However, they were distracted by an African male called Ricordo, who denied them to use their dog at the scene. They were confronted by General Khan, who asked them about their involvement. General Khan instructed them to write their statement regarding their involvement. They were refused to leave the scene until the photographer took photos of their vehicle inside and outside. They were released at around 13:30 without searching the premises. After they informed General Khan that their dog would be dehydrated as their vehicle was parked in the sun. Sergeant Pakula corroborates Sergeant Sape's statement, and then the attachment of Sergeant Pakula's statement is attached as well, TK16.
Thank you. Perhaps let's go to that statement that you referred to. So it's TK16. It's on page 48, Chair, of the annexures. Page 48. Perhaps in the interest of time, Assistant Director, maybe just read for the record what appears on page 49. So it's the next page of the statement. But before you do that, can you confirm that did you assist Sergeant Pakula in deposing to the statement?
Sergeant Pakula came to the office with the statement. That was not signed. He only signed the statement in front of me, then I commissioned the statement.
So he commissioned, you commissioned the statement and he signed it before you?
Yes.
Then can you read paragraph 3 on page 49 of that statement?
Okay. We then departed to the said address. On our way, we requested Warrant Officer Pakula to send location, of which he informed us he will send location when he arrived at the scene. After some few minutes, Warrant Officer Pakula sent location on my WhatsApp. He further asked if I still have Lieutenant-Colonel Maluleke's from DPSI in Pretoria, and asked me to also subpoena Lieutenant-Colonel Maluleke, as the container is a duplicate of his inquiry file, of which I did subpoena Lieutenant-Colonel Maluleke and promised to attend. Now,
what I need to ask you, Assistant Director, is...
Does subpoena here mean contacted or called or called?
Yeah, Commissioners, in this context, is referring to calling.
Oh,
yeah, the subpoena in this context, it's calling.
That probably will mean call him to attend, because it says, which I did subpoena Lieutenant-Colonel Maluleke and promised to attend. So subpoena him to attend to the scene, to the crime scene.
I called him to attend.
Yes.
Or I asked him to attend.
Yeah. My question, Assistant Director, really relates to the inquiry file that is being referred to. Did you ask Sergeant Pakula what this was about, the inquiry file?
Commissioners are asked about the inquiry file from Pakula and also from Lieutenant-Colonel Maluleke. Maluleke told me that they had an inquiry file in his office that was about the drugs. However, when I called for the copies of that particular file, inquiry file, I was told that it was missing. It was handled by a certain sergeant, I forgot his name, and he couldn't locate the file.
Explain this to me. An inquiry file is, or are the details of it not stored in the SAPS admin system, so that if the paper disappears, one can simply go on the computer system and retrieve the details of the file?
My understanding with the inquiry file, Commissioners, they only do things manually. They don't register the file on the system.
But isn't the problem with that somebody can just manufacture it and can make it disappear also? So even if there was no file before, I can simply create it because I do it manually. And if I want to destroy it, I can simply destroy the one that I created manually.
That's true, Commissioner. Something like that can happen.
Sitting here today, do you know if that file existed or not?
No, I don't know.
Your understanding when he says duplicate inquiry, what did he explain what he means by duplicate? Is it simply it's a similar case or it's the same case?
he was talking about a similar case that the Lieutenant-Colonel Maluleke and the team was investigating. Thank you, Commissioners.
And in your understanding, and maybe assist the Commission, what would have been the relevance of this inquiry file that Pakula is asked to ask Maluleke about? What is the relevance of that to attending a crime scene as they were engaging to attend?
Okay. Commissioners, I believe on the inquiry file, they might have certain informations, maybe that was going to link the origin and where the drugs were supposed to go.
And did you make anything of the fact that both Pakula and Sape were originating from, they were called all the way from Pretoria? Did that not trigger your interest as to why it had to be them from Pretoria to attend to a scene in the south of Johannesburg?
Commissioners, these are dog unit, and I believe they are special, they're doing some sort of special kind of investigation or attending the crime scene. And I believed that narcotic dog, maybe it was only at Silverton.
Did you ask or did you just...
No, I did not ask, Commissioners.
Why not?
Because I believe that they are employed by SAPS. If there's a need to assist anyway, they can just go, as long as their commanders give them permission to do so.
But that assumption was without much basis, though, because to think of just this one, I will try to pronounce dog softer. Gauteng and its environs is quite huge. It cannot be that you thought that this one dog was the only dog available. Surely not. It's on that basis that I say your assumption was not with much factual basis. Did you not think there were dogs close to Boysens, for example, or somewhere even within the city itself, Johannesburg, the city itself? That everybody who wants to use dogs within Gauteng has to go to this one in Silverton, Pretoria. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Do you accept?
I accept, Commissioner.
Yes. You see, my sense... Oh, you want to add or should I?
wanted to add something on that.
Yes, by all means.
I accept that, Commissioners. However, something that gave me comfort is the fact that he indicated that he contacted his commander and the commander gave permission.
This is not about commission. The question asked by Mr. Musigiri is, didn't the fact that some of these people, the two Pakulas, the senior and the junior, had to go all the way from Pretoria to the south of Johannesburg to involve themselves in a crime scene there, didn't that trigger a suspicion in your mind? That has nothing to do with being granted permission by your superior. So that's the context.
Yeah, it was suspicious, Commissioners.
But you don't seem to have acted on that suspicion.
Yeah, like I said, Commissioners, we don't normally investigate our complainants. What we do, Commissioners, when a person gives us information, we take the statement, and if there's a need for us to follow up on the information, we do that.
Yeah. Even yesterday, we expressed serious concerns or reservations about that.
Yes.
Because in the end, you must come up with conclusions and possibly recommendations as to what should be done. If you don't interrogate what's brought to you by your complainants, that may lead you to a wrong recommendation. Don't you agree?
I agree, Commissioners.
We engaged you on this yesterday. And,
I agree, Commissioners.
You see, from your evidence from yesterday already, even the few things you've said this morning as well, they give me the distinct impression that you basically just accepted any and everything these complainants said to you, which is what then led to the recommendation you made in the end. You accepted without questioning whatsoever. Your comment?
Not really that we just accept information as it is. Hence, we obtain few statements.
It doesn't matter piling up statement after statement if you are not critical, in what you are doing or without what you are doing. It doesn't matter. You may pile up 1,000 statements.
I
Comment?
agree, Commissioners.
Sorry?
I agree.
Yes, Mr. Musigiri.
Thank you, Chair. Assistant Director, did you make anything of the fact that in support of their claim, they referred you to, or do you make anything of the relationship between the two Pakulas in your investigation?
No, I did not. I think I asked if they know each other, and I think they are family. I can't remember. It's been like a while back.
Yes, the testimony is that they are, in fact, brothers, with the warrant officer being the older brother of the Sergeant Pakula.
Yes.
Yes, and from both statements of Pakula and Sape, did you pick up any elements or any allegations that support a claim of defeating the ends of justice against any of the five suspects? And if so, please point us to that in the statements, because in your summary that you put in your statement, I don't see that. So if you need to go to the direct statements, please point it out, because I couldn't find any, hence I can't point you to that. And what I want to say to you is that at the end of the day, the only thing you could pick up from them that will assist your investigation was that the person who stopped them from employing the dog unit, or the dog that they came with, I think the name is Rossi. It's Warrant Officer Rikotso, no one else.
Okay, if we go to statement of, I think on page 50.
Page 50?
Page 50. Page 50. 50. Yeah, on
Yes.
this annexure.
Yes.
I'll just say, because there's no... When he was talking about... let me see. Okay, I'll just start here. And then we asked questions how we came to scene by a person called General Khan, and also instructed us not to move our car, stroke state motor vehicle, while photos were taken inside and outside. Further, we were asked to write statement by General Khan and give to Captain Daly, of which we did, with permission of Warrant Officer Pagula, who was the scene manager. Then we were refused to leave the scene until we explained to General Khan that the motor vehicle is on sun and dog is dehydrating, and at around 13:30 we were released to our area when the members were arrested. So from this statement, I will say General Khan was interested in them writing their statement about their involvement other than working at the crime scene.
And how does that...
Sorry, the question is, how is this defeating the ends of justice? Even if we accept that what he says happened about General Khan, even if we accept that as true, how is that a charge? How does it constitute a complaint, in fact, that is being made by the owner of the statement that General Khan defeated the ends of justice?
Yeah, Commissioners, I will say General Khan interfered in the whole crime scene. It was his interference that made them unable to work at the crime scene.
Mr. Msikiti is asking is in this statement,
Yes.
forget what you were told by others
Yes.
in other statements. Mr. Msikiti, as I understand it, is asking you, to the extent that you have placed reliance on this statement, what in this which you have now read constitutes conduct of defeating the ends of justice on the part of General Khan?
Okay. Commissioners, when General Khan indicated to them that they must not move their car, and also requesting them to write their statement, General Khan works for crime intelligence. He does not handle the crime scene. So in him being at the crime scene, giving instructions as to what must happen and when, it is interference.
There's another way of looking at it, and we have not made findings or come to definitive views on this issue. But this is what it looks like, having read all the files. Warrant Officer Mahano and Chief Mashaba don't deal with drug busts. They have no business being in a drug bust on their own, just the two of them. If they were called by the police to assist, as you said, traffic police often do that when their assistance is sought. Now you have the two of them with this alleged informant Nku, conducting what is clearly an unauthorized operation, even according to Warrant Officer Mahano's superior. And they get interrupted by the police, who are dispatched by 10-111. Mahano and Mashaba ignored the nearest police station, which is Poisons. They didn't call them to say, there are drugs in your vicinity, please dispatch the relevant people to assist. They don't call LCRC, they don't call FSL. Instead, they pick their own friends. I'll call my one friend in Pretoria, I'll call my one friend in the dog unit, So they select who should be in this operation. And then you have SAPS generals, 3 of them arriving there and seeing what is clearly an unlawful and an unauthorized operation. And they tell them to stop and go into their cars and stop whatever they are doing. Now, I have painted that picture for you because that's the complete picture. What about that constitutes defeating the ends of justice? Because there's no suggestion that the generals handle the exhibits and became investigating officers or they became in charge of the scene. They were called to the scene, they saw what was happening, and they intervened. Now, if that is the picture, and we have not come to the conclusion that that is the picture, because to be fair to Chief Mashaba, to be fair to, they must be given a chance to give their side of it. But if that is the picture, what is it about what these 3 generals did? Being General Kadwa, General Khan, Mr. Musikidi, who's the other general who was there? There were 3. There was another general who was Likalakala. What is it about the 3 of them being there and intervening in the way that they did that would constitute hitting the ends of justice? If they are called to a scene where police officers are clearly doing something which is authorized and unlawful.
Commissioners, with regard to the first police officers being at the crime scene and that they were doing something unlawful or illegal at the crime scene, it was handled by the Hawks, and I believe they were charged for their role at that crime scene. But for General Khan, not allowing or disturbing the dog unit not to work at the crime scene, it was something else, because if now we've got this information that suggests that they were not, it was more than one container that was supposed to have searched, we don't know whether they were going to find other drugs or even firearms. For that reason, his interference at that crime scene was something else.
Assistant Director, why do you keep referring to more than one container? None of the statements that you have taken say there were 3 containers to be inspected. Even the dog unit people that you say should have been left to do their job, Sape and Pakula, they speak of being called to come and inspect a container. And when they got there, they were prevented from inspecting a container. Nobody in all of these statements that you took, let alone the evidence that we have had as a commission, but in the very statements that you worked off, not a single person says they were intending to search 3 containers. Not even the dog unit says we were there to search 3 containers. You're the only one. And what you have done is you've worked off evidence that says a ship was coming in and there were so many containers. I think it says there were 14 containers. Of that 14 containers, 3 were suspected. And that's what Nku also says to you. 3 were suspected to have a mix of guns and narcotics. That's as far as it goes. We have 1 container that comes up from Durban and ends up in Aeroton, and that is the container that is at issue. You keep speaking of 3 containers. Can you just show us in the statement where anyone says there were 3 containers on that property that we needed to search and we were prevented from searching? And I put it to you, nobody says that.
I agree, Commissioners. When I keep on referring to 3 containers, we don't know whether the other containers were there maybe the previous day or not, because the information that we received was that 3 containers were given preference at the harbour. So we don't know whether the 3 containers maybe drove from Durban straight to Scania maybe the previous day or not. Hence, we are saying the dog unit was going to search not only the container that was there, but also the whole area.
No, but you can't make up facts. You can't say we don't know whether and then draw conclusions from that, because you draw conclusions that they prevented the searching of the other containers. That's a positive conclusion. Positive as in it is based on the fact that there were 3 other containers, so there was a total of 3 containers. You speak and say we don't know whether there were 3 containers. That's illogical. There's no logic in saying we don't know whether there were 3 containers and then you say the K9 was prevented from searching the other containers. It's illogical to say that. But more importantly, and I started off by saying you can't make up facts. More importantly, where in the statements that you took did anyone lay a foundation for you to say other containers were not searched? Nobody in their statements says to you, maybe there were containers in the Scania property. Nobody. And you can trust us on that we have read these statements, all of them, and we've listened to evidence. Nobody says there was a suspicion that there are other containers on the Scania property. Nobody. And yet that's a basis on which you draw a conclusion that they prevented the K9 from finding other drugs and guns that were on the property. It's just plain wrong, the approach that you took here. You may comment if you want to. Otherwise, your answer, we've heard what you say, how you justify that conclusion.
Commissioners, no comment.
So, Assistant Director, just to be clear on my original question, and having had a conversation with the commissioners, do you accept that at least from these statements by Sergeant Pakula and Sergeant Sape, there are no element of defeating the end of justice? If you accept, are you willing to accept that at least on these statements alone?
I accept, Commissioners. However, I do indicate that there was an element of interference.
Yes, don't worry about that. General Khan and whoever will come and explain whatever interference that might or might not have occurred.
If that is the case, I accept.
Yes. Can we then move on to paragraph 46 of your statement? We are back at page 11 of your statement, where you deal with exhibits and chain statements. So if you could pick it up from paragraph 46 on page 11 of your statement, please.
Paragraph?
46. Under exhibits and chain statements.
Okay. The drugs were taken to Boyson's police station and booked in SAP 13610 of 2021 with Boyson's case 98 of 7, 2021. 49 exhibit bags with 700 solid substance inside were recorded in the SAP 13 register. I've attached the SAP 13 register as TK 17. Statement of Captain Norkia attached to DPCI Johannesburg and Warrant Officer Morris attached to DPCI Jamestown were obtained. Their role was to collect, package and transport the drugs from the crime scene to SAPS Boyson's and later to Forensic Science Laboratory. Statements of Captain Norkia, attached as TK 18 and Warrant Officer Morris TK 19, have some inconsistencies with regard to tampering of exhibit bags. 8 exhibit bags were changed when they were submitted at Forensic Science Laboratory.
Can I just ask, why do you say exhibit bags were changed. Where do you find that?
From the FSL report, it shows the bags that were taken there, they are not the same. 8 of the bags are not the same as those ones that were booked at SAP 13.
Well, maybe you'll point us to the statement, but the statement that I have seen says that the original, the samples, the exhibits rather, with the original exhibit bags were put inside another exhibit bag. So you have 2 exhibit bag numbers for the ones that you're complaining about, the 8 years. So there's no changing. And yesterday you said that the same. You said that there was a changing. Exhibits were taken out of a bag and put into a new bag. But that's not what the statement say. And I think it is either Morris or Norki who speaks to that.
It's Warrant Officer Morris.
Yes, and he says there were small tiers in the original exhibit bags, and then we put those bags inside new exhibit bags. If that's what Morris say, why do you say, and if you accept that, unless you're saying he's lying, if you accept that, why do you say there was a change of exhibit bag?
Because, Commissioners, when you check the report from the FSL, it doesn't talk about the bags, because normally when something like that happened, the analyst, when they write their statement, they will indicate in their statement that I received this bag, and inside this bag there was another bag. So from the report of the analyst, it talks only about one bag, not about the bag that was inside another bag.
So you don't believe when Morris says that we put the exhibits with their original bags inside another bag? Are you saying he's lying when he says that?
Commissioners, I'll say yes, he is lying, because he's the only person, because when I check the statement of Captain Nortje, it doesn't talk about the changing of the bags. He only indicated that they submitted the exhibits at FSL, and he doesn't talk about changing of the bags.
So did you challenge Morris about this, and did you speak to the analysts?
What happened, Commissioners, that was the issue that I spoke to the management of IPIT, and we requested the advice as to can we investigate that separately, because we only noticed towards the end, when the investigation was already finalized, that actually the forensic analyst is not talking about these bags that I found this bag inside another bag, and the issue of Warrant Officer Morris and Captain Norkia's statement not saying the same thing, whereas they were together at all material times when they were taking these drugs from Boysens to FSL. So we wanted to have a separate investigation that was going to focus only on the issue of changing of those exhibit bags. And because, Commissioner, maybe we're still going to go through those kind of information somewhere in my statement. We only noticed that the drugs were removed from Boysens, and at some point they were at Pretoria College. And there were rumors that some of the drugs were stolen. So we are not sure, because we haven't made the investigation pertaining to that kind of investigation with regard to those forensic bags.
But you see, it's worrying again that you make, because it's quite a serious statement to make. In fact, I would have expected you to have included is Warrant Officer Morris in your list of people that you say should be disciplined, because it's quite a serious statement you're making, that they changed exhibit back. That sounds on the face of it like a serious case of tampering with exhibits, and therefore defeating the ends of justice. So I'm surprised that you make that kind of damning, because it's quite a damning statement, and anyone who's guilty of that should not only be disciplined but should be prosecuted. But now you say, well, the management decided, we had a conversation and nothing came of it, when in fact Morris gives an explanation. You don't test it with him. You don't speak to the forensic analyst to explain what you say is a discrepancy based solely on their report and what Morris has said. You say, well, there is a discrepancy. You don't check where they give these numbers, where the forensic analyst, Mr. Modise, gives all of these numbers, how those numbers relate to the list of numbers that Morris gives. Because remember, Morris gives you the evidence bag references, and he gives you the original number and the one that he says we put, the new one. He gives you those. You don't check Modise's reference numbers or exhibit bag numbers against what Morris gave him. You just decide. They contradict each other. Noki doesn't speak to these tiers on the bags. The analysts doesn't say anything about there being 2 bags for the 8 exhibit bags. Therefore, there was a changing of bags. Again, the leap in logic of the facts with which you are working and the conclusions that you arrive at say question to the investigation, really. That was a proper investigation. And maybe let me explain that. You may well be correct in your conclusion that these drugs belong to somebody else, and the Khan party and the Sebola party and everybody were there to ensure that they don't land end up with the police. Maybe. Given the facts and evidence, in fact, that was placed before you and the statement, there's no basis for that conclusion. You don't lay a basis for that conclusion, which is deeply problematic for this investigation. And maybe, in fact, because of those problems, that there were no successful prosecutions of disciplinary proceedings, including against General Khan and Kadwa. It may be that your investigation is at the heart of that outcome. Thank you. Sorry, you may comment. I know I started off with a question, and then expressed my views about this. You may comment if you want to, and I do apologize for that.
I even forgot what is it that I was talking about. With regard to the issue of the bags, commissioners, it is an issue that we wanted to have to investigate it separately, because now we wanted to focus only on Warrant Officer Morris, Captain Norki, and the forensic analyst as to what went wrong with these kind of bags. Because now, also when you check the report of the analyst, they talk about 715 bricks that were sent to forensic, that they received at forensic, whereas Warrant Officer Morris and the SAP-13, when we count the bricks, was 700. And also there was one other brick that was sent later. We don't know where the brick was at that time, because the brick did not even have the SAP-13 number. So we wanted to follow that kind of information as to what really transpired when these things happened. Because now, if you check the SAP-13, all those bags that I mentioned there and all the bricks that are inside those exhibit bags, when you count them, it's about 700 bricks in total. But the FSL person, he or she is talking about 715, of which it is a serious concern as to where is this 15 coming from, or maybe there was another bag that was sent to him or her separately, we don't know. That was the issue that we wanted to investigate further.
Deputy Director, in your report, you devote one sentence to this issue which you regard as so important. If you go to page 165 of the annexures, your report starts on 162 in the same file, in the annexures.
That's annexure?
It would be TK 36.
36.
162, that's where the report starts. But it is only on page 165, the second paragraph, that first line. So that's the only place where you talk about the issue, and you say nothing more, and you don't make any recommendation in relation to Morris. So the only people you make recommendations against are those who were allegedly part of the arrest or interference at the scene, not what happened between Boysons and FSL.
That's true, Commissioners. And so we're saying the issue of Warrant Officer Morris and Captain Norki and the FSL was the subject of another investigation that IPIT was intended to follow.
So there was really no need then for this paragraph that says, this sentence rather, the drugs were taken to FSL for testing, but some of the bags were changed into different bags. So there was really no need in this report for that sentence, because it belongs to a separate investigation in a separate report.
I admit that.
Just sorry, still on this, I would like you to go to, and it's still about this statement about bags, with exhibits being taken out of bags and being put into new bags. And I do strongly feel it's an important issue about which you misdirected yourselves completely. If you go to page 68 of that bundle, that's the Morris list. It's his statement and the list of exhibit bags. Page 68. Are you there? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You look at the very last item, which is from the 22nd sports kit bag we placed, 15 packages into unique forensic bag number, and he gives a number, and then it says 16 packages into unique forensic bag number, and it is that second number that I'm looking at, PAB, and that number you see where I'm reading, the very last line.
Yes.
And then go to the next page, page 69. Again, the very last item, unique forensic bag number, PAB, it ends for 259, which is exactly the bag that we have looked at, was placed into unique forensic bag number, PAB, it ends 5198. You see where I'm reading?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And then go to page 72, which is now your forensic analyst, and he gives a list of the bags.
Yes.
And in that list, look at the very last line of that list of bags. The very first one.
Yes.
Right? Not the first one in 259. Hold on. Sorry, I lost my place. I'm looking to show you that, in fact, where the forensic analyst, he uses the later bag number, the new bag number.
Yes.
That's what he does. Nowhere does he say anything that supports your saying the way that exhibits were taken out of their original bag. There's no number that reflects that.
Yeah, hence I'm saying, Commissioners, that the analyst, when the analyst found the bags, when the analysts write a statement, they will indicate that on this particular day, I received this particular exhibit bag.
Yes.
When I opened the exhibit bag, inside that exhibit bag, there was another bag, and then he must mention that other bag as well to indicate that when he opened this forensic bag, there was another bag. Inside another bag, there were 15 bricks, for example. So in this report, the analyst only wrote the second forensic bag that was changed from that. According to Warrant Officer Morris, it's saying this forensic bag was placed into a unique bag number so and so. And the analyst, he's only talking about the new forensic bag. He's not giving clarity as to how he received these kind of exhibits.
Yes, and you didn't get an explanation from him. You say it was going to be the subject of investigation. I guess my point remains that you draw that kind of conclusion without speaking even to the analyst to find out what bags did he receive and show him what Morris says. But I think I have made my point about it.
Okay, yeah, commissioners, because it is a normal practice with the analyst. When they receive a bag, they indicate as to, I received this bag with these serial numbers. Inside the bag, if there was an issue of maybe placing another exhibit inside another new bag because of whatever reasons, maybe there was a small tear and stuff, they normally indicate as such. But with this report, there was no indication of that nature.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, thank you, Assistant Director. I think you stopped at paragraph 50 on page 12.
I'm here, Commissioner.
Yes, maybe continue from page 12, paragraph 50 then. Captain
Paragraph?
Noki. Paragraph 50.
50.
I just want to ask a question about something that the Assistant Director said in the context of the 700, 715, which is about a brick that was brought at a later stage, and the Assistant Director is questioning that. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I mean, with narcotics and perhaps with anything else that's criminal, you should have an inquiring mind. So, but I just want to find out if you ever asked questions from any people who might have had knowledge about this brick that was brought to the rest afterwards. Did you ask any questions?
Commissioners, we don't even know who sent that brick because we didn't get the opportunity of getting the copy of the docket. And I believe that information is supposed to be in the copy of the docket as to who took this brick at the FSL in a form of their chain statements.
When did you yourself get to know about this?
When I got to receive the FSL report.
And at that stage, you did not make inquiries, like maybe see who you could get information from about that one brick?
No.
Let me tell you the evidence that we have heard. I think it was General Flynn. What we heard is that that one brick was discovered after the rest of the suspected contain had been found and taken out, had been found, let me put it that way. And he explained that because of something adhesive that was inside the bag, this one brick had got stuck onto that adhesive substance inside the bag. That's the explanation or rather the testimony we heard. Do you want to comment on that?
No comment, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I suppose the pointed question is this, Assistant Director. Did you speak or interview Warrant Officer Morris at any stage during your investigation?
Yes, I have, Commissioner. When I requested his statement, yes, I did.
And did you speak to Captain Norke?
I have, when I obtained his statement.
And also, did you speak to Modise,
No,
the analyst?
Did not. No, I did not speak to the analyst.
So you used a statement that was previously submitted elsewhere?
Which statement?
The one that you were referred to on page...
the report?
Yes, the report.
Yes, the report, yes.
And then did you confront Warrant Officer Morris about this inconsistencies together with Captain Norke?
Immediately after I found the report, when I interviewed Warrant Officer Morris, I wanted clarity as to, you sent these bags that was different from that was booked at SAP 13. Can you clarify that? That's when he gave me this statement of saying this bag was changed to this bag.
And Captain Norke, what was his response?
Captain Norke, if you check Captain Norke's statement, I don't know which annexure it's...
Norke, it's TK 18, so that's on page 65.
65.
Yes.
Captain Norke did not talk about any exchanging of the bags. He only talked about booking the exhibits from Boysens to SAPS Academy for safekeeping. And then the paragraph 6 on his statement, he said on Monday, 2021-07-19, together with Warrant Officer Morris, proceeded to SAPS Academy Pretoria West, booked out the exhibits that were kept for safekeeping. proceeded to the Forensic Science Laboratory, FSL, and headed in the exhibits to be analyzed. We were escorted by Gauteng Highway Patrol. During the sealing of the exhibits into the exhibits bags, booking them at SAPS Boysens, booking it from SAPS Boysens to SAPS Academy Pretoria West and to FSL Silverton Pretoria, the bags were intact and no exhibits was tampered with.
Did you not ask him? I mean, his statement is in 2024,
Yes.
according to the commissioner's system.
Yeah.
And Morris's statement is in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's in 2021. So by the time you speak to Norje about when he hands you this statement, you already know what Morris says about the bags. Do you not think you should ask Norje about it, put it to him so that it is contained in his statement? Put a direct question to him about the bags, because they were doing this together, unless you thought that Morris on the side did the bagging or the sealing alone. If you accept that they did this exercise together, you're now sitting with a Morris statement that you are suspicious of, or in fact that you're criticizing. Why do you not ask Norje directly and then have it recorded in?
Commissioners, I did. That is the reason why he wrote paragraph 7, saying that the exhibits was never tampered with.
Did you ask him about the changing of the bags? That's what I'm asking.
Yes,
Because you say, notwithstanding what Morris says, that we put the one bag inside the
Yes.
new one, you say that's not true. What they did is they changed the bags completely. They took out the old bag and put the exhibit in the new bag. That's what you're saying. Now, you don't specifically, at least Noche doesn't say we did that or we did not, which suggests to me that, or which may suggest that a direct question was not asked of him. We have bags, we now have a new bag number that doesn't correspond with the SAP 13 number. Explain that. You didn't do that kind of a direct question. It doesn't seem you did. Whatever you may have asked him, it doesn't seem you said to him, now there are two different bag numbers, SAP 13 and the one that you submit to the lab. Explain that difference.
I don't remember the questions that I posed to Captain Norke, but it was relating to the issue of changing of bags, and he indicated that the bags were never tampered with.
And just to finish that point, Commissioner Baloyi referred you to Morris's statement on page 69. The paragraph 14, just after the part where they deal with unique serial numbers of forensic bags,
Yes.
they do say that all of this was done in the presence of the members of the case management team at the Pretoria FSL. So it's not as if they were sitting somewhere by themselves tampering with evidence bags. They say they transported the bags, got to FSL, there were bags that were damaged, and where they put new bags, or rather old bags inside new bags. This is happening at reception in the presence of the case management members at FSL. So there can be a possibility of them tampering with the bags because they are doing it in the presence of FSL at FSL.
Commissioners, I hear what you're saying. I saw what he wrote, but it was an issue that needs to be tested. Because remember, when this thing of changing these, especially these number of bags, they know very well that it needs to be photographed. It is just unfortunate that we don't have the copies of the bag. We don't know whether it was ever photographed at this time when they were changing these bags and putting the old bag into the another bag. If they are saying, yes, I've seen the statement that says it was done in the presence of these people.
So FSL can confirm that they
Yes,
can say
FSL
it happened or it did not happen.
Yes, hence I was saying it was an issue of us confirming when we were investigating this case because of this is Warrant Officer Morris who took the exhibits to forensic. But yes, it was Warrant Officer Morris and Captain Norke. But the challenge that we are having is when the analyst is not talking about these two bags. It's only referring to one bag.
Yeah, but then there's no room for the speculative statement in the report or in what should have happened is you should have said, Morris says this in his statement. I have not confirmed with FSL whether what he says is true or not. And that's where it should have been left. Until you have confirmed with FSL that this did not happen in their presence and they did not approve of it. Because I'm assuming that FSL knows how drug exhibits should be handled. And FSL case management team would not allow something like that to happen in their presence, especially when you're dealing with exhibits that are being booked at FSL.
I agree.
I'll also just say finally that the same page that Commissioner Khumalo has referred you to, in paragraph 13, this is the Morris statement, he explains the condition of the bags that were then placed in the new bags. And that's no contradiction to what Norke says. When Norke says there was no tampering with the bags, right? It doesn't contradict what Morris says in his paragraph 13. Because what Morris says in paragraph 13 is the few unique forensic bags was damaged from the handling of the drug exhibits, the weight of the drugs in those bags, and the moving of the drugs from Boysen to Pretoria West Training College and to the FSL. He says they suffered damage because of that. Now, that's no contradiction to Norki saying that they were not tampered with. And again, there's that flaw in how you conclude that they are contradictory, because Norki doesn't, and that's why I was asking you the question about, but did you ask him directly to explain the bags? And you didn't. You rely on him saying the exhibits were not tampered with, and you say that contradicts. There's no contradiction at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Assistant Director, just to round off the point, from your meeting or interview with Warrant Officer Morris, it seems to me that he did not provide any statement to you that is relating to your conversation, because the statement that he gave to you, in fact, existed prior to even the case that you are investigating existed. Do you see that?
Yeah, I saw that, Commissioners. When I spoke to him about the issue of him transporting the trucks, he gave me this statement saying, no, you give me this statement. It is the statement that he gave on the other docket.
So there's no statement that records or that seems to respond to any of your questions that you might have had with him whenever you did, because the statement can't do that, because the statement existed way before the case was open.
Yeah, this is the statement that he was standing by, because he gave this statement previously on the other case.
Yes.
Yes, because the question was about the transporting of the trucks, and this is the statement is talking about transporting of the trucks. So it was sufficient.
Yes, and I'm saying you never asked him for a fresh statement to record your conversation or your interview with him. You accepted the statement as he gave it to you.
Yes, I accepted the statement.
Yes, and I was saying it's a very old statement he had in his file.
Yes.
Yes. I think we stopped you at paragraph 51. We've dealt with some of the issues, so you can just quickly go through from paragraph 51 to 54 for the purpose of the record.
Paragraph?
51 on page 12 of your statement.
Paragraph 51. One will wonder as to why the exhibit bags were changed. According to my experience, if the exhibit bag is damaged, you must place the damaged bag inside the new bag, and the photographer must be present to take pictures. In this case, it did not happen like that, and it had created the impression that what was submitted at FSL might not be the same items collected at the crime scene. It is also noted from their statement that the trucks were taken from Boysen's SAPS to Pretoria West SAPS College for safekeeping. One would wonder as to why drugs were kept at Pretoria West SAPS College rather than being taken straight to FSL, which is also in Pretoria. There's no paper trail that talks of Pretoria West storage, because they were not booked in the SAP13 store. The forensic analyst, as per lab number 216851/21, indicated that on 2021-07-21, I'm not sure whether it's a she or he, received 49 sealed exhibit bags with 715 solid substance blocks for analysis, marked inter alia poisons SAP13 610 of 2021, case 98 of 7/2021. On 2021-08-10, another exhibit bag with unique number bearing the same case number, poisons, case 98 of 7/2021, but with no SAP13 number, was received at FSL for analysis. It is not clear as to where the exhibit was found, as it did not form part of the exhibit collected at the crime scene and booked at SAP13 610 of 2021, case 98 of 7/2021. Can I continue, Commissioner?
Yes, please continue on the warning statement.
Okay. On 2023-06-05, the letter requesting warning statement from alleged suspect mentioned by the complainant were drafted. The request for warning statement was for General Kadwa, General Khan, Brigadier Sokobela, Colonel Stein, and Lieutenant-Colonel Sebola. The letter had the allegations and questions that they must answer. They were requested to submit their warning statement on or before 2023-06-22. On 2023-06-07, the request letter was hand-delivered to Crime Intelligence Office in Pretoria for General Khan. On 2023-06-08, the other request letter was hand-delivered at Jamestown TPCI office for General Kadwa. On the same day, the other letter delivered at Jamestown TPCI for Brigadier Sokobela, Colonel Stein, and Lieutenant-Colonel Sebola. On 2023-06-14, a response was received from General Kadwa acknowledging receipt and indicating that the DPCI members involved applied for legal representatives and they will notify IPIT when they will submit their warning statement. On 2023-06-15, a response was received from General Khan seeking further information. On 2023-06-19, further information was provided to General Khan. On 2023-11-15, warning statement of General Khan was obtained at Crime Intelligence Office. On 2023-11-27, warning statement of General Kadwa, Brigadier Sokobela, and Colonel Stein were obtained at IPIT offices. On 2024-02-06, warning statement of Lieutenant-Colonel Sebola was obtained at IPIT offices.
All right, thank you. Can you then explain to us, under this topic, you call this warning statement, can you just explain why do you call because other statements, you call them witness statements and independent witness statements and so forth. But these ones you say it's warning statements. What does that mean?
A warning statement, it is a statement that we obtain from the alleged suspects. They are called warning statement.
At that stage, is there a prima facie case for them to answer when you request these statements?
Yes, there was.
I'm saying when you ask for a warning statement, as a general proposition, is that then you have basis
Yes,
for them to answer a case?
yes.
Okay. Let's have a look at I'll just pick one example. Let's go to TK22. That's the one that you sent to General Khan. And these letters that you sent to all different individuals, they are all standard and similar. You accept that?
Yes.
Yes. And I suppose if you go to, so the statement, it starts at page 77, or is a request for warning statement, it starts at page 77. And what I want you to speak to, perhaps read into the paragraph, into the record paragraph 6 of that. So that's page 78.
Okay. Paragraph 6. The app have certain information in its disposal indicating that you may have been involved in the commission of an offence committed on the 9th of July 2021 at Aeroton, either by action or omission, defeating the ends of justice.
Yes. And then
Okay.
in that, then I want you to jump to the next page on page 79. And what I want us to deal with is paragraph 11.
Okay. On or about, okay, the questions are as follows.
And maybe start at paragraph 11 itself, where it says
Okay.
we are entitled to ask you
Okay.
questions concerning your alleged involvement.
Okay. We are entitled to ask you questions concerning your alleged involvement in the commission of an alleged offence, but you are not compelled to answer them. Your answer to the questions will be and may be used as evidence in court of law. Further, that you have the right to consult with a legal practitioner before answering any questions. The questions are as follows. On or about 9th July 2021, did you attend the crime scene at Aeroton? How did you know about the crime scene? And what was the complaint all about? And also, who was the complainant? What was the role at the crime scene and throughout the entire investigations? Who effected the arrest at the scene of poisons on case 98 of 7/2021? And what was the charges brought against the suspect? And what informed the charge? What happened to the truck driver who brought the trucks from Durban to Aeroton and the person who was going to receive the cargo? Did you at any stage try to establish the owner of the alleged trucks and who was supposed to receive them at the warehouse at Aeroton? Was the origin of the drugs ever established during your investigations? What happened to the case in questions, poison case 98 of 7/2021?
My concern with those questions, remember at paragraph 6, you say that you have information that implicates someone. But then you come to paragraph 11, you ask questions that are very general, and they don't seem to target or to solicit specific responses. And when you look at the first paragraph, when you say on or about the 9th of July, you attended the scene, none of that, all of them in fact, none of that speaks to the commission or trying to understand how they are involved specifically in the commission of an offence of defeating the ends of justice. That's where I have difficulties with these kind of questions. They seem not to be targeting that particular investigation that you're dealing with. Do you have any response to that?
No response, Commissioner. Those are the questions that we posed to him.
Yes, but I'm saying in this case they are more of a fishing expedition than pointed questions trying to solicit a pointed response to deal with that allegation of defeating the ends of justice. You can comment if you want, I suppose, on those questions that you put.
No comment, Commissioner.
In fact, what happens is that there is a response to your letter by General Khan, where he's seeking further information, and that is at it's TK26 of your annexures. So that will be on page
Yes.
87.
87.
Yes.
Do you want me to go through?
Yes, go through the response by General Khan to your questions.
Okay.
Maybe just pick it up from paragraph 2, because paragraph 1
Okay.
is just making reference to the letter.
Okay. Please provide me with a summary of the actions or omissions that you believe I may have committed or omitted for you to address this letter to me. I require this to be able to responsibly provide you with a further statement to the one I have already provided the police. As you know, I have made a witness statement in Poison's case 97 of 7/2021, and I'm not sure if you have obtained a copy of that statement through the channels available to you. I trust that the DPP official directing you in this investigation has been in consultation with the state advocate in Poison's case 97 of 7/2021 to avoid that your complaints scatter or prejudice the criminal trial against them by opening a false false parallel charge against police officials on the scene, you should know that this is often the tactics employed by corrupt law enforcement officials with an understanding of the criminal justice system and concomitant legislation. Be that as it may, I await your response to my request in paragraph 2 supra. I caution you not to be abused in this matter by criminal arrested in Boysen's case 97 of 7/2021, but I do trust that you are taking guidance from DPP in this regard. I concerningly note that you refer to your investigation being in terms of section 28(1)H of your act. That, of course, means it was referred to you by an executive director, minister of police, an MEC, or a secretary of the police. Once I am in possession of your summary of action or omission, will respond to your further letter in this. In the meantime, you are welcome to share this letter with the DPP guiding this investigation of yours.
So it seems that the difficulty that I pointed out in your letter is also expressed here to say that your questions don't seem to solicit any answers. They don't give specific allegations that these individuals must respond to. And can you then deal with your response or your officer's response to General Khan's letter? That will be the next annexure. So it's TK 27 and it starts at page 89. Yes. Can you read that into the report as well?
Okay. Your response to the letter with reference number CCN 2021-10-0314 dated 15 June 2023 refers. The summary of the allegation is provided in paragraph 2 of the IPID letter dated 5 June 2023. The case is independently and impartially being investigated by IPID as per its constitutional mandate and not directed by any DPP official. IPID is not in possession of the statement you are referring to as submitted in Boysen case 97 of 7/2021. The directorate functions independently from SAPS or any other individual or organization, therefore it cannot be abused. We therefore request you to avail yourself for completion of a warning form, submit a warning statement, and to answer questions posed to you as per the letter dated 5 June 2023 to enable the Directorate to make an informed recommendation taking into consideration your constitutional rights.
You will accept that in your response, you do not give that summary of allegations that is requested, because what you simply do at paragraph 2, you refer back to that letter, your previous letter.
That's true, Commissioner, because on the previous letter, there is a summary of allegations.
Yes, we are aware of those, but remember, I have difficulties I've raised concerns that I have difficulties with that summary not being aimed at, or at least appearing as investigative questions you put to a suspect. And then in paragraph 3, he has told you that he has a statement, or he has provided a statement before, under the case number 977/2021. Why, in your response, why is it that you don't ask for him to provide you with that statement as well?
Commissioners, I had an interview with General Khan, and I indicated as such when I was completing the warning form. I told him that if he does have a statement, because IPID were not in possession of that statement, remember, SAPS refused with the docket. So we did not have the copies of the statement that he was referring to. However, I told him that if he can manage to get that statement, he can attach that statement as his annexure to the warning form.
No, I accept that. My question is quite different. Remember, he tells you in his response that he has a letter. And I think yesterday we discussed that you have the powers emanating from Section 24, and then they engage Section 29, and Section 33 deals with the consequences.
Yes.
And he tells you that I've got this statement, or there is this statement. What I'm saying is that in paragraph 3, you just say that IPID is not in possession of the statement you are referring to. And you just leave it like that. You don't say, in this regard, when you come, bring that statement, or please give us a statement while you are coming to consult with. Is there a reason why you don't ask that? Because you do have the tools to demand it.
Commissioners, that was his statement. If he wanted to use that statement, he was supposed to bring that statement to IP. If he wanted to use the statement that he already gave in Boysen's case, the case that he was referring to, he was going to bring the statement as his annexure when we complete the warning form. And it's something that I did mention to him when I was completing the warning form.
But my question is that you, as IPID, did you at that stage deem the statement to be important?
Yes.
Yes. And that's what I'm trying to figure out as to, is there a reason why you couldn't say to him? Because you have mentioned it at your own accord. We want in your response. You just simply tell him we don't have the statement. And I would have expected at least IPID to say, we want that statement. Whether you bring it before you come for an interview or you bring it with you, but we want it because we regard it as important. That's my concern, that letter does not seem to be having any sting to it, to say, we are investigating you, we are the police policing you, and we have allegations against you. And you have a statement that we've tried to obtain through the docket, but we have not been able to do so, but he has now mentioned this. But in your response to him, just simply say we don't have the statement, and you have all the tools given to you by the legislation to request this, and you don't do that. You simply say, well, we don't have it, and leave it hanging and say, well, he will decide whether he brings it or not. I have concerns with that.
Mr. Mashikiri, seeing that IP's response was that you should come and be interviewed and make a warning statement or give a warning statement. And he does go and he does give the statement. Do those technicalities matter, whether they got hold of the sub-statement or not? Because their instruction to General Khan in response to his letter was, you must come. We want a warning statement and you must give a warning. And he did go and he did give a warning. So does it still matter that they did not get the one from SAPS, or they did not ask him for the one from SAPS? If eventually he did, a month later, I think it's in November, he did give them the statement and he responds to all the issues IPID wanted him to respond to.
To an extent that, I take the point, to an extent that, remember, according to a warning statement says you may or may not, and he might have well have chosen to not give them, but there is this statement that they could request and they should have requested. That's really my issue, and not to depend or rely on him coming or not coming ultimately. That's as high as I can. I'm trying to take it with the assistant director. And then, can we then go to, there's another response to your letter, that's a response from General Kadwa. That is TK 25. That's on page 86, Assistant Director.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, and the only paragraph I need you to read to the record is the middle paragraph, starting with kindly be advised.
Okay. Kindly be advised that an application for legal representation will be made, and as the process will require approval, I will notify your office of the availability to submit the warning statements.
So you sent a letter to him, and he says to you, well...
This is Kadwa, though. This is not Khan.
It's Kadwa. Yes. So 86. So he says to the IPID, an application for legal representation will be made as the process requires approval, and they will notify your office of the availability of or to submit a statement. What do you make of that in terms of, remember the first request to him when you requested the docket? It was a non-response because he did not commit to the arrangement. And here you have a response of this nature. What do you make of it?
Commissioners, this is what we normally receive at IPID. When we investigate the police, they normally request their legal to write or to represent them or to advise them before they can write the statement. So this was not something new. We took that they are seeking for legal advice, and then they will provide their statement.
So you accept that to be normal?
Yes.
A normal response, at least
yes, Commissioner.
by Kadwa. Chair, I want to move to the next topic, and I see that it's 11:04.
Yes.
Can you then...
Let's adjourn and come back at 11:30.
Thank you, Chair.
Good morning again. It's 11:29. We are ready to resume. Please switch off your devices. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just a moment. Chair, Ms. Boy will address the Commission.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners.
Good morning, Ms. Boy.
At the moment, we have Lieutenant-Colonel Chanel, who was under subpoena to appear today. Colonel Chanel has submitted an affidavit to the Commission, and we are requesting for him to be excused for the day, as we will not be proceeding with his oral evidence.
Thank you, Ms. Boy. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner.
As the evidence leader says, you are released. The Commission will see whether it's of the view that it will use only the affidavit. If not, you may be subpoenaed to come at a later. You are excused.
Understood, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Assistant Director, then we had just round off the section where you have sent questions to the various suspects, and we have established from that portion that you received their statements, and those statements would have contained their version as to what transpired on the day. Is that correct?
That's correct, Commissioners?
Yes, and that version you will then have to take into account when you do your final report.
That's correct, Commissioners?
Yes, and then maybe we can touch on that, on those versions, when we deal with the report. I want us to move on. We are on page 14 of your statement. We're dealing with paragraph 13. The topic is referral to National Prosecuting Authority, the NPA. Can you pick it up from there at paragraph 65?
After collection of all relevant statements, on 2024-06-20, the docket Poisons Case 252 of 10-2021 was referred to National Prosecuting Authority for decision. On 2024-06-28, a certificate of decline to prosecute was issued, stating the reasons that, number one, this matter emanated from trifling internal disputes between different law enforcement units, which warrants mediation and not prosecution. Number two, the state will not be able to prove intention to defeat or obstruct the course of justice. The case was recalled by NPA, and the other remarks were made on 2024-11-20 that these officers decided not to continue with the prosecution in this matter, given the fact that there are no reasonable prospects of successful prosecution.
Can we then start with your annexure TK33 that you referred to at paragraph
65.
Yes. And that will be on page 155
Yes.
of the annexures.
Yes.
Is this the referral? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the referral, Commissioners.
So you confirm that this is the referral that you made to the to the
NPA.
to the MPA, and you have to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution.
That's correct.
Yes, and just to confirm, the referral is signed by you on page 159, and it's approved by one Mr. T. Gefelakai.
That's
Can you
correct,
conf-
Commissioner.
Thank you. Then can we go to, and also you confirm that the suspect that you maintained should be prosecuted here are those suspects appearing on the subject of suspects, which is Major General Khan, Major General Kadwa, Brigadier Sebola, Colonel Stein, and Lieutenant-Colonel Sebola.
That's correct, Commissioners.
Yes, and then let's then go to, for the record, then let's put the summary of the allegations as you have summarized at paragraph 1.
It is alleged that on Thursday, 8 July 2021, Chief Mashaba received an information about the suspected drugs that were to be transported from Durban to Alberton. The following day, on the 9th July 2021, the information was followed and Chief Mashaba asked for assistance, and he was assisted by Warrant Officer Mokano and Warrant Officer Pakula. The truck was then escorted to the destination at Aeroton, where the container was opened at the receiving bay. While searching the container, the drugs were found. The driver of the truck and the person who were to receive the cargo were placed under arrest. The dog unit and the LCRC were summoned at the scene. While still compiling the docket, the Hawks member arrived at the scene. Chief Mashaba and members who recovered the drugs were later arrested as per Poison's case 98 of 7/2021 and charged for dealing in drugs. The driver of the truck and the person who was to receive the cargo were then released. The Hawks members found the Poison's police, who have attended to a complaint and have already given their feedback to 10111, indicating that all was in order and that the police have recovered the drugs and the suspects were arrested.
Yes, and then maybe go to the next paragraph 2.1.
In terms of Section 7, Subsection 4 of IPID Act 1 of 2011, you are hereby requested to make decision whether or not to prosecute Major General Khan, stationed at Crime Intelligence, Erasmus Kloof, Pretoria, Major General Kadwa, Brigadier Sukhovela, Colonel Stein, stationed at DPCI Germiston, and Lieutenant-Colonel Sebola, stationed at DPCI Polokwane. The investigation is complete and all necessary statements, stroke technical or experts reports are attached in the docket for your attention in accordance with Regulation 5.1 of the IPID regulations issued on 10 Feb 2012 under Government Notice number so and so. Please find the attached original contents of IPID case docket Poison case 252 of 10/2021, CCN number 2021-100314, containing the following information.
Okay, and then you list the statements and some of the documents that you considered
That's correct, Commissioner.
in your investigation.
That's correct.
And then we deal with what you call the IPID request from the to the MPA. Can you deal with that at paragraph 3?
Okay. Based on the information contained in the quiz docket above, it is the request of the IPID that the NPA should, in terms of Section 179, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, make a decision whether or not to institute criminal proceedings against Major General Khan with person number so and so, stationed at Crime Intelligence, Erasmus Kloof, Pretoria, Major General Kadwa, Brigadier Sukhovela, Colonel Stein, stationed at DPCI Germiston, and Lieutenant-Colonel Sebola, stationed at Polokwane, DPCI Polokwane, and to carry out any necessary functions incidental to instituting criminal proceedings.
Now, my first challenge or difficulty that I have with this referral to you, Assistant Director, is the very first page of your referral where you give a summary of allegations. It appears to me, and I've tried to compare it with even your original memorandum sent to the Executive Director, it seems to mimic exactly what the complainants told you. And I say so because it does not at any stage seem to reflect the version of the suspect. Can you accept that from what you have put there?
I accept that, Commissioners.
What do we make of that? Is there a reason why you do not put their version? Because we know that you have had at least received their statements, all of them.
Like the heading says, it's a summary of allegations. That's what the complainant alleges, that it's written on the summary of allegations.
Yes, I was prepared to accept it when you initially received that complaint, because that's the only version you have. But surely a summary must reflect what you have encountered, because your summary still reflects only, by and large, what you were told by the complainant and not the version by the suspect.
Okay.
Do you accept that deficiency?
I accept that, Commissioner. I wanted to explain that this is the standard form that we use at IPID. However, previously we used to have a column where we analyze, like the contents of the whole docket, where we explain as to what we found while conducting investigations. But it was removed, so we were left with this summary of allegations, and we must just compile the statements or any documents that we collected during our investigation.
And I suppose, at least on the document presented to us, on your request and conclusion, you still don't say, or at least you don't state on what basis, at least you would have come to a conclusion that these suspects, individually or acting in concert or under the doctrine of common purpose, why they should be at least considered for defeating the ends of justice. That is just not there. Do you accept that?
I accept that, Commissioner, but because this is the standard document that we are no longer allowed to write. Previously, we used to have the analysis, we used to have the IP opinion, but it was removed. So it's only these items that remains in this form. It is a standard format.
What do you do in a situation where a complaint is totally unfounded? What do you do?
We make general recommendations.
Just tell me how exactly you would formulate that.
The general recommendations.
Yes.
It is, at SAPS, they call it, it's undetected, but with IPID, we generate a report that indicates that the allegations were unfounded, and then we compile a general recommendation.
So on that one, this one, what we are dealing with from page 155 here, is specifically for making a referral to the DPP.
DPP, yes.
But surely if you have question marks, even if they removed the heading that you are referring to, surely you can be able to say something. You can find where to say it, can't you?
Commissioners...
you can't be straight-jacketed, as it were, just because the heading you are referring to was removed. For example, you could say something even under the conclusion. You could say, even though I've made the request that I've made under 3 above, I have made the following observations, and then you state those observations. I just don't understand why you should allow yourself to be straight-jacketed and be caused not to state facts that you have come up with.
I agree, Commissioners. However, previously I was in trouble with something like this.
What had you done?
I was even charged. So I wouldn't want to do something.
What had you done?
Commissioners.
You had not followed the form, or what?
I've made the negative recommendations, and I've stated the reasons and all that. So the management was not happy with that. So I don't want to find myself in that kind of a situation.
And for that, had you used a different form?
These forms, they kept on changing them. Like I'm saying, previously we used to have a space where you need to analyze and also give your opinion.
When you got into trouble, had you used a different form?
I used the form that was used at that particular time.
It was also had a DPP referral?
Yeah, it was. It had a DPP referral, it had the SAPS recommendations, but it was different from these ones.
So if it's a negative conclusion, effectively you are saying, do nothing, I see nothing wrong.
With the NPA
those complained against have not done anything wrong. Is that a negative referral, or is it the other way around?
It is a positive referral. If I'm saying there's nothing wrong that these members have done, then it will be a positive recommendation.
That's positive. If you say, in your view, they have done something wrong, that's a positive.
No. If I'm saying they've done something wrong, it's negative. If I'm saying there's nothing wrong, and then that's positive.
Then I'm trying to understand, why would you get into trouble if, on your assessment, you feel that police officers have done something wrong? I'm just trying to wrap my mind around that. I don't quite get it. Why would that get into? It's either you are wrong or you are right in your assessment. And unless your work was just so shoddy that it could not be expected of an IPD investigator. Was that the complaint against? Was that what got you into trouble?
It was the issue of saying I didn't know that the person I was investigating was a close friend to a certain SMS members within IPD. I didn't know. I was just doing my job.
Okay. In a sense, then, that's not answering my question, because my question relates more to a form of this nature.
Yes.
And the point I'm raising about why you should allow yourself to be straight-jacketed, why is it that you cannot, within this form, find a space where you can state what you have come up with in terms of factual material?
Because we are not allowed to. We are not allowed. We were told that this is a standard format, and this the information that contained in the report is one.
So you just keep other factual material in your head. What's the point of an investigation then? What's the point of an investigation if some of the facts that you have come up with will not go into a referral of this nature?
We're told that is in their statement. The DPP will have to go through the docket themselves.
What's the point of even summarizing for the DPP then if the stuff that you cannot touch You could just write one or two sentences and say, DPP, I've done my investigation. Go look at all the statements for yourself and decide whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah, it is the decision that was taken by the management.
Yeah. I'm not criticizing you. It's not your form. Then this suggests to me that there's a lot wrong with the form and indeed the decision of whoever said we are going to follow this form. And if an investigator has some views in their head, they must keep that in their head. There's a lot wrong with it. Are you sure that that's how this is supposed to work? Thank you.
Can I just follow up? And again, Deputy Director, our engagement with you, please take it in a positive light. Speaking for myself, I hope it will assist you going forward in terms of how you and your colleagues at IP conduct your investigation. Don't take it as an attack directed at you. Just take it as criticism of the process and how IP does things. The second thing I want to say before I get to I'm going to refer you to General Khan's state, to IP. It's on page 101. It starts much earlier. It starts on 99. But the part I want to refer you to is in 101. And the point I want to make before we even get to the statement, I'm not suggesting that he's telling the truth, and I'm not accepting his version at this stage. I'm simply saying this is what was before you, and I'm trying to understand what you did with what was before you. He says at paragraphs 17, 18, 19, let's start at 17. This version of Mashaba is dishonest on so many levels. Firstly, when I arrived there, they had already moved the drugs from the truck to their bakkie. Secondly, no one was arrested during my visit to the scene, and certainly not the truck driver, nor the recipient of the drugs. Thirdly, the area was never treated as a crime scene, and while I was there, no police arrived on request of Mashaba and his crew. I did not see the dog unit members he alleged he called, nor LCRC members. In fact, from what I understand, Mashaba and his crew were on the verge of leaving the scene with the drugs on their bakkie, had the honest police members not arrived. What also gives Mashaba's version away is the fact that on what has been established, he got 3 different policemen from 3 different units to assist him in this operation, while not even one of their commanders had been briefed about the operation. 19. Simply put, this was either a lawful but pathetic police operation by Mashaba and his crew, or a group of policemen acting criminally and dishonestly. The objective facts speak for themselves. I will stop there. Now, this is the version being given to you that there was no crime scene when Khan got there. All there was this group of policemen who had put the drugs, they had taken them out of the container and put them in the van. There was no sign or semblance of a crime scene or anything that looks like a crime scene. And honest policemen got there and stopped them from doing whatever it is they were doing. So what did you do with these facts for the purposes of your report and your recommendation to both the NPA and the SAPS manager?
Commissioners, here General Khan was referring to the issue of the scene not being managed properly. And yes, we accept that the scene was never managed properly by the first people who arrived at the crime scene. However, that those people they were dealt with by the SAPS management, they were charged for whatever reasons. I think the management of the crime scene also was part of the decision by the SAPS when they were charging them. But General Khan, the fact that he was at the crime scene himself, it raises some concerns as well. As a crime intelligence person, he knows that he's not supposed to be at the crime scene. He cannot even handle the crime scene. So, but here, at least he is putting himself at the crime scene. That yes, he did attend that scene where there were drugs, even if it was not properly managed. But yes, he did attend that a crime scene.
But he says the people who are the complainants before you were committing a crime. Their superiors did not even know that they were there. And they were at a crime scene, but it did not look like a crime scene for the purposes of a police investigation. It looked like a crime scene because they looked like they were the ones committing a crime.
But for what he refers to as honest police, it appears that they would have gone away with those suspected drugs.
I hear you, Commissioners.
Comment?
No comment.
Sorry?
No comment, Commissioners.
I guess what is being put to you is you don't seem to have engaged in your report, and so far from what we've heard since yesterday from you, with these allegations or this part of the statement of Khan, your report doesn't seem to have engaged with it. That's why Elia suggested to you that you seem to have just taken the allegations and then concluded that what the complainants are saying is what happened, because of the expectation that if you had engaged with us, we would see it somewhere. The report that Khan says, I don't believe him because look at these problems. There's nothing of sorts. But even now about that he is crime intelligence, he should not be in an operation, it's nowhere in your report and a basis for the recommendations that you made. It's something actually that you speak to for the first time yesterday in response to your question. So it's really about, did you give any consideration to the statements of the accused in this case, and did you treat them at all and came to conclusions having considered? It's not, your report doesn't reflect
And add to that the fact that when I engaged you this morning, you basically accepted that your approach was one that was skewed in favor of what the complainants before you were saying. With all of that in mind, do you wish to respond to Commissioner Baloyi?
I take that.
Thank you, Chair. Perhaps it's an opportune time to move to your report because we're discussing your referral. Your report is on page 162. Can you confirm? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Commissioner.
Before you even discuss the report, in the light of the earlier discussion with the chairperson about the referral form, the DPP referral, is there a standard of how your reports are supposed to look like, what they're supposed to contain? Is there any such prescript that management has prescribed for you? For you, when I say you, I mean the investigators.
Commissioners, yes, there is. This format is there with our SOPs. It is a standard form.
What does that standard operating procedure say? It should.
It will indicate that when we are doing negative recommendation or whatever recommendations, then they'll give you a certain form that this is the information that needs to be in this particular form.
Okay.
And then, if you check, just what I've already, okay, the DPP referral. If you check the conclusion, it must be like that. It is a standard information that is there. And also the IP request, you only change where you put the details of the person involved. Okay. So, but the rest of the information, it is a standard information.
And if it's a I think, positive report,
Yes.
as in I didn't find anything, what's your report supposed to say?
The positive recommendation is just to indicate to SAPS to say these were subject of investigations. However, the outcome of the investigation is like this. So they just keep that kind of recommendations for their statistics.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Msiki.
Thank you. Can we then go to your report on 162?
Okay, I'm here, Commissioner.
Yes, I don't want you to read the background because the background, it's similar to what you have put in your referral. Do you accept that?
I accept it.
Yes, I think the only difference is on page 2, where there is only one sentence really at the end, which speaks about Captain Sebola having moved to Polokwane.
Yes,
But the essence of your summary and that background is the same.
it's the same, yes.
Yes. And perhaps before we continue, so this is the report, this is your report.
Yes, this is my report.
And is there a review of your report internally before it goes out?
Yes, I compiled the report, and then Mr. Gifelagai, he's the one who must review the report. And if he approves, then he'll approve and sign off the report.
So that will be sort of your review
Yes.
before it goes out to external.
That's correct, Commissioner.
All right. Now, a lot of the issues, or at least the topics you raised there, they are contained in your referral. I think I want us to go to at least your analysis on page 164. Well, I started 164, but if you start reading to the record, you have to move to 165.
Okay. Evidence in our disposal revealed that indeed the complainant and 3 others were arrested on 2021-0709 and were charged with dealing in drugs as per Poison Case 98 of 7/2021. The police arrested their colleagues who made a huge drug bust. 2 generals, namely Major General Khan and Kadwa, attended the crime scene. However, they were unable to explain as to their role at the crime scene. General Kadwa indicated that he did not do anything at the crime scene, as he alleged that he remained in his car and later he got a report that officers were arrested. The drugs were taken to forensic laboratory for testing, but some of the bags were changed into different bags. The procedure of calling the photographer to take pictures while changing the forensic bags was not followed. The high-ranking officers, General Khan, did not allow the dog unit to work at the crime scene, as if he did not want more drugs to be recovered at the premises. The complainant, Mr. Mashaba, called Gauteng Provincial Commissioner General Mawera when he was faced with some difficulties at the crime scene, and he arranged Major General Mutombeni to assist him. Major General Mutombeni said that indeed he did call Chief Mashaba with the instruction from General Mawera. The Hawks officials, on their arrival at the scene, they found Chief Mashaba and the others busy compiling the case docket, and the police from Boysens had already indicated that everything was in order. However, Captain Sebola arrested the police officials solely based on the issue that he said they failed to explain as to how they recovered the drugs.
So on your analysis, I wanted us to deal with General Khan's statement, but I think Commissioner Khumalo already stole my thunder. So perhaps let's go to...
Can I apologize for that and maybe ask you to deal with paragraphs 4 and 5 of the same statement? I had left them out because I'm going to
Yes.
deal with those
Thank
on
you.
99.
Thank you. Let's go to 99. So this is we're going back to General Khan's statement.
Page 99, I'm here.
Yes, let's deal with paragraph 4 and 5, and then we'll come back to another statement.
On 9 July 2021, at about 9:50, I received a telephone call from Sergeant Mohoboya of Gauteng Highway Patrol. He is known to me as an honest and hardworking member of the police. He informed me that he was in urgent need of assistance. He informed me that he was at the Scania warehouse in Aeroton and that there were several policemen who claimed to be from Crime Intelligence, DPCI, and Gauteng Traffic Department who were trying to remove the contents of a container that he suspected to contain drugs and was supposed to be delivered to the Scania warehouse. Paragraph 5. I arranged for immediate police backup because I needed to make sure that nothing illegal happens at that scene. It is unfortunate but true that police members have in the past involved themselves in drug trafficking, including removing drugs from a scene after it had been found without following procedure.
Now, you heard this version by General Khan, and you accept that he received the correct information because it is accepted, at least before the commission, that the police that were there, they did want to remove the drugs. You accept that?
Commissioner?
You accept that his version, when he received the information at paragraph 4, that there were people from Gauteng Traffic Department who were trying to remove the contents of a container that he suspected to contain drugs. That is true because Warrant Officer Mahane testified before the commission that that was the intention, to remove those drugs, together with Chief Mashaba. You accept that?
I accept that.
Yes, but none of that is captured in your report. Is there a reason why not?
Commissioners, I try to explain that we do have a standard way of doing things. But when we make recommendations, let me qualify the explanation that when we make recommendations, we submit the copies of the docket as well. When we make the negative recommendations, we give them the recommendations and the copies of the docket so that whoever who's dealing with the matter will have the copies of the docket.
No, that's not my question. Remember, in your report, we're dealing with a section where you are analyzing now. And in your analysis, you say at page 165, for example, 2 generals, namely Major General Khan and Kalwa, attended the crime scene. However, they are unable to explain as to their role at the crime scene. So in there, if you kept an open mind, I put it to you, that's where you should have at least put the version by the other side. The other side, I mean the suspect's version.
I hear you, Commissioner.
Perhaps let's go to...
So before we do that, can I just, even before we leave this report, and again it's about the same topic that Mr. Msikidi is raising with you. In your report, you say the 2 generals, Generals Khan and Kadwa, attended the crime scene. However, they are unable to explain as to their role at the crime scene. That's not correct. The statement that Commissioner Khumalo, Khan's statement that Commissioner Khumalo read, those paragraphs, including what Mr. Msikidi has just put to you, the paragraphs 3 and 4, he does explain his presence. You may not, I'm not saying you should have believed it. You may have had your own reasons why you found it unbelievable, and if you had dealt with it in your report, we would see why you thought it's not to be believed. But to make a statement that they are unable to explain as to their role at the crime scene is simply incorrect. Khan has given you a comprehensive statement, believe it or not. He's given you a comprehensive statement where he explains how he got to the scene, what he did when he got the first call. According to him, he received a call, and these are the steps that he took. He gives you names of people. He tells you he arrived at the scene. So you're asking for a statement. He gives you a statement. He says, and then I got to the scene, and here's what I did until I left. There is an explanation of his role at the scene. You don't say, I don't believe it. You say, he's unable to explain. That's simply false. Can you explain why you would say he's unable to explain when you've read his full statement? What is to be unable to explain when he's told you step by step what he claims happened?
Commissioners, I was expecting General Khan to indicate that when he arrived at the crime scene, this is what he did at the crime scene. An issue of him giving instructions, because there's a statement of, I don't remember whether it was Mr. Rickett, who indicated that when General Khan arrived at the scene, there was an order. He's the one who took over the crime scene and made sure that everything now it's in. There was an order. I think that's the way that he used. But
there was an order, or there was order.
There was order. After he arrived at the crime scene, he managed the crime scene. So I did not see where he indicated that I've managed the crime scene. This is what I did at the crime scene.
No, but what do you mean? You've just had Commissioner Khumalo reading many paragraphs of General Khan's statement, which says, this is what I did at the scene. And Mr. Msikidi has also referred you to how he explains why he got to the scene in the first place. But more importantly, for purpose of my point, it's what Commissioner Khumalo has read for you, which is many paragraphs, where General Khan explains what he says he did when he got to the scene. And I'm really raising with you that, but your statement that he was unable to explain when he's given you an explanation, it's not a correct reflection of, because imagine this, if we didn't have General Khan's statement, and we had your line that says he was unable to explain, in everyday life, In everyday language, it means you never got an explanation from him about what he did when he was at the scene. So I'm quarreling with you, or I'm raising with you that it's not correct to say he was unable to explain. That's one. Two, goes back to the question of analysis, that had you engaged and analyzed his statement, his explanation of what he says happened at the scene, you would then say, I don't believe it, or I don't accept that explanation for reasons A, B, C, D, but you don't engage with it, you just make that statement.
I take that.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't even refer you to page 100 of General Khan's statement because I only read 2 paragraphs. On page 100, he gives you a blow-by-blow of what he did when he got there. For example, the last sentence in paragraph 11, he says he called Colonel Sepungo, who told him that he's not aware of this operation that Pakula is busy with. He says in paragraph 13, I called Chief Director Maisela, who's Mashaba's commander. He also did not know about the operation. So he gives you all the steps that he took to arrive at his conclusion that what these 2 people were doing was unlawful and unauthorized because their superiors did not even know about the operation. So they were there without their superiors' knowledge, and what they were doing was without their superiors' knowledge. He then explains why he took the steps he took. But in your earlier engagement with Commissioner Baloyi, you said Khan should not have been there because he's a general in crime intelligence. Now he has explained why he was there in the first place. He was called because people raise concerns that there's a suspicion that people who claim to be crime intelligence may be stealing drugs. He then tells you, this is the time I got there. In paragraph 10, he says, when I arrived on the scene, there were many police officers. I also saw that the bakkie was fully loaded with black bags, and then it continues. And then he mentions all the people he spoke to, all the people he contacted. And then the last sentence in paragraph 12, he says, when I asked about the offloading of the suspected drugs, they said they did not know that the bakkie had been loaded. It continues. And it leads to the conclusion that he then forms that this was criminal conduct. So all of that is there. But all of that is missing from your report because in your report, you say he could not explain his role at the scene. And Commissioner Baloyi says, why do you say that when in his affidavit to you, he has explained his role at the scene? You may not like his explanation. You may think his explanation is nonsense, but it's not correct to say he did not explain his role or could not explain his role.
Take that.
Do you accept the point?
I accept it.
Thank you.
And before being at the scene, he explains why he went there in the first place. Look at paragraph 5. He says, I needed to make sure that nothing illegal happens at that scene. Do you see that?
On paragraph 5?
Yes, page 99.
Yes, I can see that, Commissioner.
Yes. So there are explanations for everything, but as Commissioner Baloyi says, whether you agree with it is neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But explanations are there, and it suggests that they were not. You may comment if you want.
No comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Perhaps just to round off that very same topic, let's look at what, because the same applies to General Khan, General Kadwa, what you say about him, to say that he has no explanation. When you go to page 110, his statement starts at 109, but I want to go to 110, just to give you a sample to demonstrate that he also gave an explanation as to what he was doing. So at paragraph 6 and 7, he gives the reasons why he went there. And he says at paragraph 7, I then activated members of the Serious Corruption Investigation and SANEP, Brigadier Luele and Lieutenant-Colonel Ludik accompanied me to Aeroton using my vehicle. On my arrival at Scania, I got a brief from Major General Khan on what transpired. In my capacity as the provincial head, Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, I have overall responsibility to oversee the prevention, combating, and investigation of national priority offences. I can confirm that the case relating to the transitional drug trafficking is actual mandate of the SANEP, which is a specialist capacity within Directorate for the Priority Crime Investigation, DPCI. After receiving the briefing from Major General Khan, I was satisfied that this specific case was within the mandate of the DPCI. So he tells you there why he was there. He analyzed the situation, he was briefed, and he satisfied himself that this fell within their direct mandate. But in your report, you pick up on General Karo and say he indicated he did not do anything at the crime scene. But he told you he assessed the situation and came to a conclusion that this was an appropriate case for them to be involved in. Is there any comment to that as to why this is not reflective in your analysis?
Commissioners, what he wrote here on paragraph 10, he said, I remain at the Scania premises for the rest of the day, but did not directly participate in the actual investigation at the crime scene. However, I accept the other information that you just gave me, like reading from paragraph 7. I accept that, yes, that information is not appearing on the report.
Yes, I think what we are trying to say is that it is quite incorrect of you to say that both of the generals, however, they are unable to explain, or they were unable to explain to you as the IPET their role. They did explain to you in the affidavit.
I accept it.
Yes.
And also, these issues are being raised not necessarily to say, or rather to indicate where the truth lay. That's not the point. But it's more about what you ought to have done in the face of this info, and indeed, more specifically with regard to what you ought to have said in your report, because your report doesn't take this into account. So this is not about where the truth lies. You follow me?
I follow you.
Yes.
And then maybe one more person that I want to deal with in your report. You also pick up on, so the last paragraph that you read in, so it's paragraph 3, you also make reference to Major General Mtombeni, which you say that he states that indeed he did call Chief Mashaba with the instruction of General Mawela. I want us to have a look at General Mtombeni's statement. That appears on page 30 of the annexures.
Got it, Commissioner?
Yes. Now, it is not clear what reference, but you are here to explain. You can explain to us why you made reference to, or what we should make of that reference to General Mtombeni, Major General Mtombeni's statement. But this is what he says anyway. At paragraph 3 of his statement, he says, during the vaccination drive, I remember speaking to an official attached to the Gauteng Traffic Police who introduced himself as referred Chief Mashaba, who indicated that he was following an information on drugs, and he indicated that the police are about to arrest him. I then said to him, I will inform Acting Deputy Provincial Commissioner for Crime Detection as the matter relates to investigation to liaison with him dealing with the matter. I have never instructed Brigadier Shibiri to visit the crime scene. And then he says this, the Acting Deputy Provincial Commissioner, Brigadier Shibiri, his contact numbers, he provides them. The Acting Provincial Commissioner Shibiri gave me a feedback that he spoke to the Gauteng Police Traffic Official referred to as Mashaba, that the matter to be dealt with by the Directorate Priority Crime, the DPCI, known as the Hawks, as a matter related to drug trafficking. Brigadier Shibiri further indicated that he will liaison with the DPCI Provincial Head, Major General Karwa, to deal with the matter. And he says at paragraph 5, I cannot remember if the official attached to the Gauteng Traffic Police referred to as Mashaba phoned to the telephone number he provides of Lieutenant Mawela, or whether Lieutenant Mawela gave his phone to me as the itemized billing of my telephone, nor of that Mawela only flagged the dialed calls received. I can only confirm that on the 9th, Lieutenant General Mawela was at SAPS Pretoria Moot vaccination point to be vaccinated. That statement does not speak to anything that has to deal with at least attempting to justify why, because it refers to Mashaba, why Mashaba was on the scene. Now, with that in mind, please have a look at Chair. There's a statement by one Dumisani Pompi. Chair, there is a separate file which would say Marumo Mahane. It's an exhibit bundle, and it says iPad investigation.
Page?
You have the file? Yes. Go to page 206. For the record, Chair, it's CJC 229.57.
You said 226?
206. Yes. Are you there?
Here.
Thank you. Can you, for the record, read from paragraph 2?
On the 9th July 2021, at about 10:34, I phoned Mashaba as the Acting Deputy Director in the Southern Corridor to join my visit to all the K78 roadblock in our area to give support to our officers. He indicated to me that he has an urgent matter he is attending to, but he did not mention the matter. I respected what he told me due to the nature of his meetings and operations. In his area, he will normally work morning shift or afternoon shift. In all his work engagements, he kept communicating with me as his supervisor with regard to his duties. At about 11:26, I received communication from Deputy Director Sikonyane that Chief Mashaba is being arrested by the Hawks. I called Chief Mashaba and his phone was off. And just a few minutes after that, he called me. He then told me that he could not tell me that they had an undercover operation of drugs when I asked him earlier to join me for the visits to the K78. He told me that the operation was successful, but they're just having a misunderstanding with other members of crime intelligence. The indication from him was that they are fine and they will handle the situation. For me, this denoted that the responsible person from SAPS that approved this operation will discuss the misunderstanding with the general from intelligence.
Then go to the next page at paragraph 5.
I was phoned by Chief Director Tami Maisela about the matter, and I explained to him the sequence of events from the time I received the information. The Chief Director Maisela and I agreed that I would give statement when the time is right. Later that day, I received a call from Mashaba that he is being arrested for doing his job. I can confirm that I did not place Acting Deputy Provincial Inspector Mashaba on duty for the activity he was performing at the time of his arrest, and he did not even inform me about it.
You have this statement as part of your investigation.
I just have to check from the...
On page 164 of the report, you will see there it's 839. Is that correct?
I'm going there. It's TK, which number?
So on page 164, you'll see towards the bottom, it's 839.
164.
164, yes. On the schedule of statements and documents that you submitted.
Why do I see yellow text? Are you in the right file?
Yes, I am. I am.
So we are back to the main statement file.
Yeah.
Yes.
Page 164, yes.
164, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I was just assisting in answering the question by Commissioner. That's the
Yes,
statement.
thank you, Mr. Msikiti. So you did have the statement.
Commissioners, I cannot confirm whether the contents of the statement here is the same as the statement I have in the docket. I cannot confirm that.
Do you recall taking more than Maybe let me actually rephrase that. Now that you know that his supervisor said, I didn't know anything about this operation, you must accept that your conclusion that Mashaba had the consent of his superior to be in the operation can be correct. If his supervisor says, I knew nothing about this operation.
Yeah, I accept that, Commissioner.
I want to understand your response regarding whether you, or rather, about this statement, which is A39. I'm not quite sure what your answer or response to Commissioner Baloyi's first question is. What do you say about this statement? Which you have listed as A39.
A39, yes.
Page 164.
Yes.
What are you saying? You seemed to suggest that there may well have been another statement. I didn't quite get what you were saying. Yeah. So actually, yeah, at the top there, you see 206 in red, and there is A39 written there.
Yes, it's A39.
Yeah.
Yeah, Commissioners, I'm saying I'm not sure if this statement, the contents of the statement is the same as the one that I have in the docket. However, the information of
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? By the content possibly not being the same?
I'm not,
or whether
this statement, is it from the case 252 or whether it was from the case 98? But I know of the fact that the supervisor of Mashaba indicated that he didn't know about the operation that Mashaba was conducting on that particular day.
You knew that?
Yes.
Just look at the top, page 206. Just look there. What does that handwritten A39 mean? Does that not mean that that statement is A39?
Yes, it is.
It does mean that?
Yes.
So there can't be an issue about the content because you're saying you're not sure if the content is the same. So if this is A39 and you've listed A39 at page 164, being one of the statements that you are reporting about, so the content must be that of A39 to which you are referring in that long list of statements,
Yes.
surely.
Yes, this is the statement, yeah.
So we must forget about what you say about not being sure about the content. We must forget about that.
Yes. Commissioner, I did indicate that the commander of Mashaba did indicate that he was not aware about the operation.
No. I'm not asking about what the commander said. I'm talking about the statement that you made, which was that you are not sure of the content of A39, because that's effectively what you meant when Commissioner Baloyi was engaging you about A39. You said, I'm not sure about the content. Now you seem to be accepting that this statement, the content of which we have all seen, is indeed A39. A39
Yes,
that you have listed here in that long list of statements
That's correct.
that you considered in putting
Yes,
together your report.
Yes.
Now what I'm saying is, so we must forget about your statement that you are not sure of the content of A39. So we must forget about that.
Yes, we must forget
Thank
about
you.
that. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Musi.
Thank you. You will accept then, because you will see at paragraph 4, you make recommendations and that necessary steps must be taken. And I want to put to you that in light of what you have discussed and the lack of evidence in support of that conclusion, that recommendation of yours is not supported by the facts, at least discussed with you today. Can you accept that?
No, I don't accept that, Commissioner. But I don't want to go back to what we've already discussed. But if you are saying so, then I'll say I hear you.
Yes.
Sorry, can I, in the light of that answer, let me put this to you. Let me ask you this. Why do you make a recommendation that Brigadier Sekgobela should be charged, discipline and criminal? You say nothing about her in the report at all, in your report. I've looked at her statement of what she says. She got to the scene, the kind of things that she did. Why do you recommend her prosecution? And her statement, it's at page 120 of your file.
Page?
120. It starts at 120. And from paragraph 9, she explains what she did. In fact, maybe are you there at page 1?
Yes, I'm
okay,
here.
so at paragraph 121, rather page 121, sorry, she says, I received information via WhatsApp, so it's formal, about the drug bust at Aeroton. I was on duty since Aeroton falls within our jurisdiction. Then she says it was my duty to attend the crime scene, so she gives an explanation. And then upon arrival, she was received, she tells you, by General Kadwa, Colonel Sebola, Colonel Ludik, and there were other people there. She says it was evident the crime scene was not handled properly. And then here's from paragraph 9. She spoke to General Kadwa, who instructed her to contact Mokhane's superior and Pakula's to establish whether they were aware of their presence at Aeroton and if they were on duty or personal capacity. She contacted Zonki Zizwe police station and his superior, Mokhane's superior, was on sick leave and was not aware of the operation. I said, his failure, Mokhane failed to give a proper account of his role, and she concluded he must be treated as a suspect. That's about Mokhane. And then about Warrant Officer Pakula, she contacted his superior to confirm his role on the crime scene. he declined, the superior declined. And then she says, this coupled with the fact he was out of his area of jurisdiction and failed to or refused to provide any reasonable explanation, this made him a suspect. And then Mashaba, due to his rank, it was difficult, as a traffic officer, it was difficult to get any information regarding his role. However, his presence at the crime scene as a traffic officer and lack of reasonable explanation made him suspect until the contrary was proved, and he was treated as such. None of their participation and the explanation provided made me believe they were law enforcement officers on duty. When confronted, they were ought to disclose who was their informant, where was the parcel heading, and why did they decide to intercept them at that point. That's what she says up to that point. Your report says absolutely nothing about her, what her statement says. You say nothing. In fact, even in your summary of background in the report, you don't say anything about her in the summary. Your report is completely quiet about her until you get to the list of recommendations or the people that you recommend for prosecution, and that includes Sekgobela. Why?
I accept, Commissioners, that the report was quiet with regard to this member.
The same with Steyn. Your report is completely silent about him, and you recommend the serious measure of prosecution against them. But I want to go back to Sekgobela. On the face of it, it seems like as the person in whose area this falls, she was right to be there. She tells you, what I did is I called their superiors, and then I said they must be treated as suspect. What could that, on any definition, constitute? Interfering, obstruction of justice?
I hear you, Commissioners.
You accept there's nothing, at least in the report, and
Yeah,
in the
in the
statement, and in her
report,
statement, and in her statement too.
In
her statement.
Yes, I
You accept
take
that?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe let me put this in fairness to you, that it seems you received the complaint, you accepted that complaint as true. That's what happened. These people were conducting an operation, and then you close your mind to whatever the suspects say to you in their statements, and effectively you determined this issue without an open mind about it, in that you accepted the allegation as true, and then drew your conclusions that they obstructed the course of justice because of what the complainants have alleged, and you never interrogated anything else in these statements, which then raises the question, why do you even get statements from these people if you're not going to engage with them? Yeah. Well, did you want to comment anything?
I hear you, Commissioners. Maybe it's the way the report was drafted.
No, it's
but
not the way.
The purpose of us obtaining the statement, it was for that purpose that we check whether these allegations were true or not. So that was the purpose.
Of course, I accept
But
that's the purpose.
I hear what you're saying.
And this is not just directed, this line of inquiry and the concerns being raised, they're not just directed at you. The same for your superior, Mr. Kiafela, because ultimately he approves, he signs off on your report, and we see his signature. And that he would sign a recommendation to prosecute Brigadier Sekgobela, as an example, when the report does not discuss anything about, does not even acknowledge an explanation and reject it, is concerning.
I hear you, Commissioners. However, if you check the decision that was taken by the NPA, they also indicated that it is a matter that must be dealt internally. So internally, it has to be in this fashion.
Yeah, it's even before we get to the NPA. It is the IPID, you have huge powers. Your investigations and recommendations have consequences for people. They do. Yeah. And you can either make or break a legitimate line of investigation, such as I said to you earlier, that it may well be that the disciplinary process against General Khan failed because your investigation was not helpful. It may well be. So I'm raising this so that you see it in that way, that you have this investigative power. And certainly in this investigation, there was nothing helpful that came out of it. And maybe because nothing helpful came out of it, General Khan was found not guilty, when in fact with a proper investigation, he may well have been found guilty. That's the simple point that I'm making. And it is a matter of concern about the capacity of IPID, starting, well, at the very least, Mr. Gefelagai, and then the investigators. Thank you.
Commissioners?
Comment here. These reports are quite, look at the big picture. I don't know if you'd call it an irony or what, but the very recommendations in your report are what leads to General Khan being charged and General Khumalo getting involved and General Mkhwanazi getting involved and Brown Mukhotsi interfering in that process and the minister's office getting involved in that process. So they become part of the dots that eventually lead to what is now this commission. So something as small as this. So that's why it matters that the reports are done correctly. Because if you follow all the evidence, this is how Khan gets involved and Mkhwanazi chairs his disciplinary hearing. Khumalo becomes the evidence leader or pro forma prosecutor. Brown Mukhotsi interferes with that process, gets the minister's office involved. It's now alleged that Mukhotsi is influencing the minister. So it's all part of the big picture. And it all starts with a simple investigation and the recommendations in a small report. It's 4 or 5 pages long. But it can have that domino effect. That's why it's important that these things are done properly.
I
Thank
think
you.
that
Maybe before we leave the report, and then I'll leave it to Mr. Musikidi after that, I won't interfere with his questions. And it's again in trying to make sense of the approach that you took and the conclusions. Now, when you interview, obviously would have interviewed the complainants.
yes,
Okay? And that includes Warrant Officer Pakula. Did he mention to you, Warrant Officer Pakula, a meeting with General Khan after this incident, after they were released from is it detention or arrest? They were arrested and then later they got out. Did he mention to you a meeting with General Khan? In which meeting, and for purpose of my question, I just want to check this, only this part of it, where he said to General Khan, it is said these are your drugs. Did he mention that meeting and that he in fact has had? In fact, I think when we engaged him, he also said, well, it's corridor talk in the SAPS. Did he mention that to you?
I do have the supplementary statement of Pakula, but he did not mention anything about saying it is General Khan's drugs. In a statement, does not come out clear like that.
Okay, I don't have the statement in front of me, but does he say, in that statement, does he say anything close to that there is talk that they were General Khan's drugs?
Not anything close, but I think he was mentioning the issue of a meeting that he had with General Khan, because in that statement he also attached the WhatsApp communication that was between him and the general, even though I can't, on top of my head, to think about everything that was written there.
Okay.
But there was an issue of them meeting.
Okay, let me tell you why I was asking, why I'm asking, or why I started this way. I wanted to ask you whether if Pakula mentioned anything to you about his engagement with General Khan after they were arrested, that is outside, after now they were released. In those engagements, including a topic about these drugs, whether that may well have been where you drew from when you say these drugs were meant for somebody else and the police were there to protect the owners of the drugs, whether that would be the basis that drives you to that conclusion, which we are saying is not based on any facts in front of you or in front of us.
It is something that they kept on talking about it, but I can't remember if it's clear in his statement, but something like that, it kept on coming up, saying those drugs were meant for General Khan.
Okay, so it did come up in your investigation. You picked up on that?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Assistant Director. Let's go then to go back. We have discussed your report, and I've given you my views on it. Let's go to, just to run over the statement, just for the purpose of the record, page 68. Paragraph 68 on page 14 of your statement.
Page 68.
No. Paragraph 68 on page 14.
Sensitivity page?
Yeah, on page 14, 1-4 of the statement.
Got it, Commissioners?
Yes, please read down to the record from paragraph 68.
Paragraph 68. On 2024-06-27, a negative recommendation was sent to SAPS to initiate disciplinary proceedings against the members involved. Then I mentioned the members. Major General Khan attached to Crime Intelligence, General Kadwa, Brigadier Superbela, Colonel Stein, and Colonel Sebola. On 2025-03-05, IPIT received a report dated 2024-12-10, signed by National Head of DPCI, General Libya, indicating that they declined to initiate disciplinary proceedings against the DPCI members involved. And
Perhaps can just pause the chair, just for context. The report being referred to there is the report that was discussed yesterday with Colonel Sebola. And the findings there, I think it was referred to as the harbour report. And what the witness does then is just to extract the findings that she wants to make comments on. So we don't need to go to the actual report because the findings are, in fact, at least extracted and pasted here. So you can continue on, it should say 69.1.
okay. The reason being that they could not find evidence implicating any of the DPCI members. However, there were fundamental administrative errors made by the investigators. Number of exhibits collected was 700, whereas FSL received 715. 1 brick of cocaine was recovered by local criminal record center and handed over to DPCI, indicating that members did not fully explore and receive all exhibits. That was regarded as a human error. Lack of follow-up on alibis. No findings of unlawful arrest by IPIT. Serious implication on any future representation made by DPCI to have Poison's Case 98 of 7/2021 to be placed back on the roll.
Let us deal with your comments then on that report.
Okay.
So you can pick it up from paragraph 70.
Okay. It is evident that the appointed investigating officer for the disciplinary hearing had on her findings. Number one, the fact that he mentioned that there were administrative errors under the supervision of DPCI members involved, that the members contravened Section 5.3, regulation Commissioner?
I think you skipped confirms, or did I miss that?
Yeah, members contravened Regulation 53T that says conduct himself or herself in an improper, disgraceful, and unacceptable manner. The fact that 700 exhibits were collected from the crime scene and 715 were received by FSL indeed had no bearing on IPIT recommendations. The fact that one brick was recovered later confirmed that DPCI members involved failed to do due diligence at the crime scene. Regulation 53T conducts himself or herself in an improper, disgraceful, and unacceptable manner, and Regulation 54H, defeating the ends of justice. The fact that there was a lack of follow-up on alibis indicates that the DPCI members involved did not want to investigate the origin and/or they protected the owner of the drugs by arresting the complainants in Boys and Case 252 of 10/2021. Regulation 53T also applies. With regard to unlawful arrest, IP does not deal with the cases of unlawful arrest. However, Lieutenant-Colonel Sebola arrested the complainants based on the auspices that they failed to explain how they recovered the drugs, and Regulation 53T also applies. With regard to serious implication on any future representation by DPCI to have Poison's Case 98 of 7/2021 to be placed back on the roll, the investigator knew or ought to have known that the matter was referred to NDPP and a decision was already made on 2024-06-21 that there are no reasonable prospects of successful prosecution. Can I continue?
Please proceed to paragraph 71 under the outcome of General Khan's disciplinary hearing.
Okay. IPIT only received the outcome of the disciplinary hearing on Friday 2026-05-08 from the Commission, and I was asked to comment on it. The report indicates that the employee was charged with misconduct in terms of SAPS discipline regulation of 2016 as set out here under. Count number 1, Regulation 54H, defeating the cause of justice. Count 2, Regulation 54X, any act of misconduct which detrimentally affects the image of the service or brings the service into disrepute or which involves an element of dishonesty. Employee pleaded not guilty in both counts. The chairperson found the employee not guilty. The facts placed before him reveals that on balance of probabilities, the employee did not commit misconduct. The chairperson recommend that the criminal and disciplinary investigation against all those who were involved in this case should be instituted, as it is their conduct which bring the image of the organization into disrepute. And my comment...
Before you go there, just for context, at paragraph 74, the chairperson would have been General Nkoana Joseph, and then at paragraph 76, where it says that the chairperson recommend that criminal and disciplinary action against all those who were involved in this case. In this case, Chair, it referred to Warrant Officer Warrant Officer Mahane, Warrant Officer Pakula, and the Chief Mashaba, just for context, Chair. You can proceed to your comments on the General Khan's disciplinary hearing. Thank you.
It is difficult for IP to comment on what transpired during the proceedings. However, General Khan, as a member of crime intelligence, was not supposed to attend and actively involved at the crime scene. The fact that he was called by a sergeant and decided to attend the crime scene and intervene in the scene raises serious concerns. His action at the crime scene obstructed the justice whereby the people who discovered the drugs were arrested and the suspect responsible for the said drugs were not arrested and or released, and no investigation was instituted on the origins of those drugs as well as the owner of the said drugs. In my day-to-day performance of my duties, I have experienced that management in the SAPS have different perspectives about IPIT recommendation and initiation of disciplinary process. They also have different criticism against the investigation conducted by IPIT. They often opt to initiate their own investigation, seemingly results in the delay in the disciplinary processes as a whole. In terms of Section 30, Paragraph A of IPIT Act 1 of 2011, the National Commissioner or appropriate provincial commissioner to whom recommendations regarding disciplinary matters were referred as contemplated in Section 7, subsection C and 7 must, A, within 30 days of receipt thereof, initiate disciplinary proceedings in terms of recommendations made by the Directorate and inform the Minister in writing and provide a copy thereof to the Executive Director and the Secretary. The South African Police Service often comes under criticism for the way some disciplinary issues are being handled due to lack of consistency on investigation of misconduct and the way they deal with IPIT recommendations. This has a negative impact on productivity, sound relations, and morale of personnel in the SAPS. It also grossly affects the confidence of the public towards the police Secondly, some police officers are suspended with pay or dismissed prematurely and later reinstated. This raises the questions of unnecessary or wasteful financial implications. The SAPS disciplinary regulations needs to be amended to give clear guidance on how to handle recommendations from IPID.
Yeah, you may proceed.
Okay. The informer received, okay, this one is it's under the topic where it says intelligence or information received by IPID during the investigation. However, IPID did not have the mandate to investigate such. The informer received an information through his sources about the drugs and firearms that were to be delivered in South Africa. The goods or items were to be transported from Brazil to a company called Scania in South Africa. The informer also indicated that he has been giving information relating to criminal activities to the police. However, he was never kept abreast on the progress of the information he provided. Hence, he decided to give information to the other law enforcement agency, and on the day of the drug bust, he was within the vicinity just to observe. The information received was that on the day of the incident, Scania was expecting 11 containers from Brazil, and amongst those containers, there were 3 containers that were alleged to have drugs and firearms. The information was confirmed by Rosalind Gobeni, employed by Freight and Logistics as a seaport controller. Her duties, among others, include clearing of shipments between Scania, South Africa, and Scania, Brazil. The alleged 3 containers were given preference at the Durban harbour. The information was followed by the complainants in Boysen's case 252 of 11/2021, and indeed the information was positive. There was a drug bust at Scania. However, the information with regard to firearms was never followed due to the general who refused them to work at the crime scene. The dog unit was called, however, the dog was not utilized at the crime scene. The driver of the container that was found with drugs drove from Durban to Johannesburg without stopping at the way bridges. The driver took the container at the harbour at about 13:30 and arrived at his company in Johannesburg at about 2000 hours, which is highly unlikely for the truck. If the DPCI, Hawks and Crime Intelligence member who attended the crime scene had the appetite to prevent influx of the drugs and illegal firearms in the Republic, they were supposed to get proper information from the members who were involved in the drug bust instead of arresting them. The conduct of DPCI, Hawks and Crime Intelligence members at the crime scene appears that they were protecting the owner of the drugs. The issue of 700 and 715 bricks of drugs, as well as the other bricks sent later to FSL for analysis, we wanted to make follow-up and investigate. There is no clear explanation into the inconsistencies of the number of drugs submitted to FSL. The matter was discussed with the Executive Director, Ms. Ntatseng, and she requested IPID Legal to look into the matter and give legal advice. The aim was to investigate the drugs, especially those change bags, wherever submitted to FSL, and if submitted, request the lab to retest the changed bags to compare them with the other bags for the purposes of confirming the contents thereof. The investigation was going to be against Captain Yorkia, Warrant Officer Morris, and FSL analyst. I'm still waiting for the legal advice.
Just for clarity, if you go back on page 87, on paragraph 87. 87. So that's on page 19, paragraph 87. You say that the alleged 3 containers were given preference at Durban Harbour.
Yes.
I take it this is from your interaction with Mr. Nku.
That's correct, Commissioner?
Yes. What did you understand by that, given preference?
When he was explaining, I think it's that time when, as a country, we used to have load shedding and stuff like that. I don't know how it works at the harbour, but he indicated that during that period when there was a load shedding, those containers were allowed to pass, something like that, or something along those lines. That is the preference that he was explaining to us.
I might have asked you yesterday, I just can't recall your reasoning, because you seem to have taken a lot of information from Mr. Nku. What was the reason for you not taking a statement from him?
Commissioners, if a person says he's a... I know Commissioner Paloi, we spoke about that in length yesterday. When a person indicates to us that he's an informer, we took it as it is, and even the way he was getting this information, it was something else, because he was talking about this cybercrime, hacking, and all that. I think from the document that I've sent you, that was the copy of my diary, some of the information, I've noted those information down. So we did not obtain Nku's statement. However, the information that he was giving, like the issue of 11 containers, we wanted to test as to whether was he telling the truth or not. Yes, we did follow up on that kind of information, and indeed, Scania was expecting 11 containers at that particular time. However, the issue of him saying 3 were given preferences, we don't know about that.
And then to your statement, you attach the request, on page 22, a request for the Commission's intervention. Do you want to read that into the record?
Yeah.
Sorry, where are you referring to, Mr. Msingiri?
I've moved to page 22 of the statement. So it will appear as item 2 on page 22. So it's after the statement, but before the...
Let's take that lunch, please.
Thank you.
Let's adjourn and resume at 2.
Director is also not comfortable addressing the nation on these issues. She was addressing the commissioners, and I think it's fair that the commissioners in the private. I don't know what the...
It's a request of the commission indeed, but she can indicate to the commission what she prefers, how she prefers to deal with the request, because it falls slightly outside what you have asked her to come and testify on. Perhaps you can find out how do you want to deal with this request. Are you comfortable reading in public, or you want to leave it for the commissioners to consider it at an appropriate time?
Commissioners, I would like the commissioner to look into the document, not for me to read it out on public, because it is the security issues.
Thank you, Assistant Director.
Then, Chair, also...
we will consider.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank
And
you.
then what had happened as well, Chair, is that the Assistant Director had also given us a supplementary affidavit, but the nub of it really deals with the security concerns that she raises in her request. So perhaps we might just have to find out from her if she wants to follow the same process, that the contents of that supplementary not be read because of the sensitivity of the issues raised there.
Should we handle the content of the supplementary affidavit or statement similarly as
Correct, Commissioner,
the
yes.
document we referred
Yes.
to just now?
Correct.
We will consider that as well.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Can you maybe just confirm that this is your supplementary statement, and on page 6 that is your signature?
Where's the statement? The supplementary
It's a
statement?
separate folder, just immediately after the... No, not that
this
one.
one.
After the request.
After the request. Oh,
You will see that it says index to statement.
yes, I can see.
Yes, and then you go to page 6 of that. That's where the signature of that statement is. Can you confirm the signature?
I confirm the statement, Commissioners. That's
Can you
my
confirm
statement.
also the signature there too?
I confirm the signature.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Msingiri.
Yes, Chair. If that's the approach preferred by the Assistant Director, Chair, then that would be the end of our questions, because that's really the section that was left to deal with after lunch.
Thank you, Mr. Msingiri. Awesome. Thank you very much, Assistant Director. You are excused.
Okay, Commissioners.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon,
This
Ms.
afternoon, we will be starting the testimony of witness I. If we can just ask for a short indulgence so that we can make sure we're properly connected, and then we'll be ready to proceed.
Okay. We'll hear from you then. Let's adjourn.
In the hearing, please switch off your devices. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Bowen.
Chair, witness I is joining us virtually with only his voice. Pursuant to an order that was granted last week, he is online and has confirmed that he can hear us. Witness I has also indicated that he will be taking the oath.
Good afternoon, Witness I.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Do you swear that the evidence you are going to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you.
Witness I, I'm going to start with confirming your statement and the files that you have in front of you. So you should have 2 files in front of you. The first being a statement file. Can you confirm that you have that?
Yes, I have that.
And the second should be labeled Stain Exhibit File 2.
Yes, I have that too.
And then, witness I, if you can then go into the statement file, you will see that the first document is your statement. Can you confirm
Yes.
that this is a statement you have prepared for purposes of giving testimony before this commission?
Yes, I confirm that.
And please go to page 18 of your statement. Can you confirm
I'm
that
there.
that is your signature on page 18?
Yes, that's my signature.
And then can you confirm the contents of this statement are true and correct?
Yes, I confirm that.
Thank you, Witness I. Witness I, Commissioners, for this session, Witness I will go through his statement relatively uninterrupted. There will be some clarity-seeking questions from myself or the Commissioners, and then thereafter we'll move to the second stage. But for now, Witness I, if we can start with your statement. You can proceed with paragraph 1.
Paragraph 102, Commissioner.
My apologies. I had indicated to Witness I that we aren't going to go into paragraph 1, rather that he will start at paragraph 2.
Okay, paragraph 2. I have a National Diploma in Accounting from University of Johannesburg and did courses within SAPS, Introductory Police Training, Basic Crime Investigative Practice, Serious and Violent Crimes, SVC, Street Survival, Legal Principles, Vehicle Crime Investigators Course, Discipline Management Processes Learning Program, Detective Commanders Learning Program, and presently I'm studying MBA in Executive Leadership with Wolf University.
Thank you, Witness I. Can you then move to deal with your service history? It's unnecessary to set out what we asked of you in the Rule 10.6 notice. So you can move to paragraph 5.
Okay, paragraph 5. I began my employment in law enforcement with the Directorate of Special Operations, DSO, commonly known as Scorpions, in 2002, and remained there as an investigator until 2009, when DSO was disbanded. Members were transferred to the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, DPCI, in 2009, and I was based at Serious Organized Crime Unit. In 2021, I was team leader for South African Narcotics Enforcement Bureau, SANAP, a specialized unit within the South African Police Service, primarily responsible for investigating drug-related crime, including trafficking and local drug manufacturing. Number 6. In 2023, I accepted a transfer to Tactical Operations Management Section, TOMS, under the command of Brigadier Smith then, but now under command of Brigadier Mukwen. Both brigadiers reporting to Lieutenant General Mbot. 7. I'm presently a subsection commander at TOMS, and my duties include open, inspect, and close inquiries of members within the unit, trace and extradite international fugitives as requested by other units within DPCI, tracking and tracing most wanted suspects or syndicates involved in serious organized crime, corruption, and serious commercial crime. Execution of warrants of arrests from all units within DPCI and tracing of suspects. Lead planned and unplanned operations conducted by the unit. Conducting surveillance, observation, and monitoring on armed robberies, cash in transit, hijacking of vehicles. Escort of suspects to court, also investigating officers and prosecutors. Profiling of people of interest and monitoring them. Combating crime on serious offenses which poses threat to the community. Do search and seizure operations on suspects and also Section 252A applications for operations. Conduct operational duties as directed by National Head and Divisional Commissioner of DPCI. Attend to management meetings within the unit and also lead members in meetings with third parties and other role players. Command and control of members on all operational taskings.
Witness I, before you continue, in 2001, when you were the team leader of SANAP, what were your duties then?
It was leading a team in investigating drug-related matters, smuggling and dealing and trafficking of drugs within the country.
And how many members were in your team?
I think they were 4 to 5 members.
And was the team leadership territorial, or how far did it extend?
Come again?
Was your team leadership territorial? We've heard testimony of another team leader, SANAP, also in Gauteng, so just want to understand in which area did you primarily operate?
It's Gauteng.
The entire Gauteng?
Yes.
Okay. And then just in terms of paragraph 7.9, what is a Section 252A operation?
It's an entrapment application. Entrapment.
Thank you, Witness I. You can then proceed to the next topic, which is the events relating to the Aeroton drug bust of 9 July 2021.
Okay. Number 8. In 2020, around August, Sergeant Masuma opened an inquiry on an individual from Zambezi, Pretoria North, who was alleged to be dealing and transporting narcotics. Inquiry file is opened within the unit to do preliminary investigation and gather evidence. And once the file is court ready, the inquiry is converted into a docket. Copy of front cover of file attached as per 1. On 9 July 2021, at around 7 a.m., Sergeant Masuma notified me that he had received a tip-off the previous night about 23 bags of drugs en route from KwaZulu-Natal. The said tip-off was in relation to inquiry 6 of 8, 2020. I asked Sergeant Masuma to obtain more details regarding this tip-off, such as the truck details, number of people on the truck, before we could act on the tip-off.
Witness I, just so that we can understand, when you say the said tip-off was in relation to the inquiry, what do you mean by that? What about
because when he showed me the message, he said the message is in relation to the inquiry he's having, inquiry 6 of 8, 2020.
Was it because it was coming from a source that was involved in that inquiry, or how did you relate it to the inquiry?
Yeah, it's from a source which is in KZN in relation to this inquiry.
Thank you, Witness I. You can continue.
Okay. On 9 July 2021, while still on official duty at my office in Pretoria, I received a telephone call from Sergeant Pagola of K9 Unit. He contacted me with his number. He advised that he was called to address a scene regarding a truck suspected of transporting 23 bags of drugs in the Johannesburg area. Sergeant Pakola further indicated that the truck in question was also from Durban. I asked Sergeant Pakola to bring a narcotics dog to the scene and that he sends me the location of the scene. The information about the 23 bags of suspected drugs coincided with the information Sergeant Masuma had informed me of the same morning regarding the tip-off relating to Pretoria Inquiry 6 of 8 2020 about drugs originating from Durban. I then called Sergeant Masuma to accompany me to the scene. According to our investigation, the drugs were associated with an individual who lives in Zambezi. The source who gave info of the 23 bags from Durban alleged the bags to be linked or connected with the subject addressed on the inquiry. Before leaving to the scene, I never reported to anyone. As a senior officer, I was scared or had a fear of information being compromised at a higher level. If the info was positive and related to our inquiry, the plan was to report after arrest to protect the info. I immediately went to Johannesburg with Sergeant Masoma from my office. Upon arriving at the location provided to me, we observed many officers, including DPCI, Organized Crime, Jamestown, and Johannesburg members. We walked in and Sergeant Pakola of K9 took us to Warrant Officer Pakola from National Investigation Unit, Warrant Officer Morani from Zonkezizwe Police Station, and a member of Gauteng Trafficker, later introduced to me as Mashaba. I requested that Warrant Officer Pakola explain the scene to me and identify the individual found driving the truck so I could review all relevant information and take charge of the scene, as I believed it to be connected to the inquiry being investigated by my office. I was briefed as follows. The driver of the truck transporting the drugs was identified to me while already under arrest, placed on some corner. The members were awaiting the arrival of the photographer to document the packages of drugs, which had been placed inside the police baggie. I questioned members there why the bags of drugs are in police baggie, and explanation I received was that when they opened the truck, the bags fell from the truck. That's why they were kept on police baggie. While still being briefed, I observed a general from the intelligence division, later known to me as Major General Khan, who did not introduce himself to the attending members, issuing instructions that those who located the truck containing drugs should be detained. One of the suspects, the driver, who was already detained by the members, was released from custody by Major General Khan. The truck that contained the drugs was never booked at Boysen's police station SAP 13, but kept at station until it was collected by owner. The scene was never handed to me. As observed, General Khan just hijacked and took over the scene by directing that the first people to scene, namely Warrant Officer Morani, must get inside the black baggie by driver's seat and sit there and to never come out. As surprised by directive of General Khan, I learned later that it was a strategy or means to label Warrant Officer Morani as trying to run away from scene. I then realized that Gauteng Hawks head, Major General Ibrahim Kadwa, was also there, as well as Brigadier Schobel, also of DPCI. I then engaged Brigadier Schobela, telling her about the 2020 inquiry. Generals Khan and Kadwa were running the scene, which is questionable as the two SMS members are holding strategic posts of generals. There is Brigadier Colonel, a Lieutenant-Colonel, and Captain as officers to run scenes or operations. I tried to speak to Major General Kadwa to ask him what was happening. Major General Kadwa told me that Jamestown DPCI will deal with the scene. And I asked on what case number or inquiry number, since there was none, except the one by the Pretoria office. When I attempted to talk to Major General Kadwa about inquiry file from my office, he essentially avoided talking to me by evoking the SAPS chain of command and thus instructed me to rather address Brigadier Schobela instead of him direct. I also saw Colonel J.C. Madlanga from DPCI Organized Crime Johannesburg, who advised me to leave things alone and advised that me and my member should just provide our statements explaining what led us to come to scene from Pretoria. Of which statements we wrote and left the scene. We left the scene after lunch, and DPCI, Jamestown, and Johannesburg members were there with General Kadwa. While still wandering there, Warrant Officer Pakula, Warrant Officer Morani, Chief Mashaba of Traffic, and one black male unknown to me were placed under arrest as per instruction or directive of General Khan. While that was happening, Colonel J.C. Maluleke came to me and asked me and Sergeant Musuma to make and write statements explaining how it happened that we come to scene, which we did. Colonel J.C. Maluleke said, if we don't make such statements, the generals will arrest us. They are in charge of scene. As weeks passed, I heard from Sergeant Pakula of K9 the drugs of the said scene were not sent to Forensic Science Laboratory but to Pretoria West Training College and kept there for more than a week before being sent to the FSL. I also learned that it was no longer same quantity collected from scene. Instead, the block of bricks was less by over 100 in number. As an experienced investigator, my observations of the scene indicated potential abuse of power and rank, the reason for which remain unclear. I advise all members, Morane, Pakula, and Mashaba, who were placed under arrest, to consider lodging a case of defeating the ends of justice against General Khan and General Kadu. I was concerned that these actions appeared to be an effort to protect both the driver of the truck found with drugs and to obscure the origin of the vehicle and its contents. The fact that General Khan took driver of truck where he was contained and moved him away from the scene so he can disappear. This was clear manipulation of members and the misuse of authority to pursue undisclosed or improper objectives is unacceptable and must be addressed within the framework of the law. On the day in question, it was evident that certain individuals functioned as if they were above the law, which was troubling to witness, particularly given that law enforcement personnel were being subjected to such treatment by senior officers. At the scene, I immediately called Office of the National Head, Lieutenant General Libya, for me to come and have a meeting with him on what transpired. I went and consulted with Lieutenant General Libya the same day by late afternoon to report what happened at the scene. In that meeting, Lieutenant General Libya promised to look on the matter and give me feedback, which was never done. Lieutenant General Libya took notes of our discussion.
Witness, before you move on to the next topic, I just want to ask you a few questions for clarity. If you can go back to paragraph 11, there you indicate that Sergeant Pakula of the K9 unit called you. Why did he call you?
Oh, Commissioners, maybe I should indicate. I have contacts with several units of SAPS, like K9, Flying Squad, National Intervention Unit, several units of SAPS. Members were informed that I'm team leader of SANAP, and if they hear or have a scenario where drugs-related things are there, they should inform me. And I believe that's the reason why Sergeant Pakula phoned me, because he's one of the members informed that I'm team leader of SANAP. If there's any scene or matter related to drugs, they need to contact me.
And this contact is just to alert you of the scene, or is it also asking some sort of permission?
No, it's also asking engagement, since drugs-related matters is DPCI, which is dealing with it. And some of the times, the members from various units, they do call me for advice on other issues.
Okay, and in this instance, he was already activated or called to the scene. Is there a reason then why you had to tell him to bring the dog to the scene?
Yeah, because if they say they are drugs, we need to confirm for sure if they are really drugs. And since I know he works at K9, but I don't know his dog, if it's a narcotics dog or it's which dog. That's why I requested a narcotics dog.
All right, and then if we can go to...
Before you do that, would he not ordinarily know if he's been called and told that it's a narcotics operation that is being called, or he's been, to use your language, that is being activated for? Would he not know as a given that he has to bring a narcotics dog?
It is, Commissioner, but for certainty, that's why I requested him.
Okay.
Now, if we can go to paragraph 12 of your statement.
Yes, Commissioner?
Just to get a better sense, you indicated earlier in your statement that broadly an inquiry is used as a preliminary stage in investigations. When an officer opens an inquiry, what steps do you take?
Come again? I didn't get that.
Generally, you've explained in your statement what the purpose of an inquiry is. My question to you is generally what steps do you take when opening an inquiry?
No, the inquiry is opened on the CAS system and a file is opened with the alleged criminality being indicated, either as a statement or as info note. And it's given to a member to run and start conducting preliminary investigations on the inquiry to get evidential material.
And is this process monitored by your commanders?
Yes.
Thank you. And ordinarily, does it include things like the target that you're investigating?
Yeah, as the investigation proceeds, it will include the targets you're investigating and network of those targets and everything about them.
Thank you, Witness I. Now, at paragraph 13, you indicate that you didn't report to a senior officer or out of fear of information being compromised. What do you mean by that? At a higher level, you say?
Yes, to me, it was a general knowledge to me, even to other members, that there's a conflict of interest with SMS members when it comes to narcotics within SAPS. And if information is made out or knowledgeable, it happens that the mission, it won't be accomplished as the target will be tipped off or it will come to their knowledge.
When you say conflict of interest with senior members, what do you mean by conflict of interest?
Not conflict per se, or maybe let me just put it as the matter or the case could be compromised.
Okay, it could be compromised. Are you simply saying that some of your senior managers may be working with people who have interest in drugs? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And then you say this is common knowledge.
Yeah, even though members won't publicly speak about it, but within corridors and on the street, they speak of it, off record.
All right, thank you. And then...
Sorry, can I just ask about paragraph 13? If you had to report, if you had to inform someone to where you are going, who would it have been if you were doing things openly without keeping this information to yourself for the reason that you are stating? Who would you be reporting it to?
To the Unit Commander Commission.
And the unit commander being who at the time? Who was the unit commander?
It was Colonel
Bok. So he was your immediate superior?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the only person that you would have had to inform, I'm going out on this tip-off?
Not only him. Then there were 3 full colonels. There were other 2 full colonels.
But your immediate superior was Colonel Bok?
Yes.
Thank you.
Witness I, when you then, in the same paragraph, you say if the information was positive and related to our inquiry. What do you mean by info being positive?
Remember, I received a call that there's a truck suspected to be having drugs. And my intention and reason I went there with Masoma was to verify the info I received and check if it's true and correct, Commissioner.
Which info were you trying to confirm? The one from your informant or the one from Sergeant Pakula?
The one from Sergeant Pakula together with the one from the source received by my name.
All right. And then in paragraph 15, you explained that you wanted a briefing in order for you to take over the scene. How did you, in what instances do you take over the scene, and how's that decision made when there are multiple officers at the scene?
I needed to assess all the information they had to brief me about that scene. And then from then, I'll assess it if it is connected or related to our office inquiry. And if it is, it's common knowledge that we should be taking over the scene, as it will have been related to what we have been investigating.
All right, thank you, Witness I. And then just in paragraph 16, where you talk about Major General Khan issuing instructions, to whom was he issuing instructions?
When I first saw him, he was near DPCI, Jimiston and Joburg members, and he was approaching where I was standing by the bike being briefed by Warrant Officer Pagul.
Now you are describing where he was going, but my question is, you say he was issuing instructions to members, including to release the detained truck driver. Who was he telling these instructions? Who was to execute this?
The instruction I heard him saying was that Warrant Officer Mogani must get inside the driver's seat of the black bike and that he must never come out. And he moved, I believe Chief Mashaba was somewhere near his vehicle, or he was not where I was being. I don't know what did he say to him because it was far off a distance. And he came back to the scene where the bike was, and I believe he went to, at the back of the bike, I think he was speaking with the people who were receiving the goods from the bike.
All right, so he was issuing instructions to the DPCI members, you say, and then also issued instructions to the officers that were on the scene, the first 3?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And then in paragraph 19, you say that Generals Khan and Kadra were running the scene. You've explained in detail what General Khan was doing, but you don't say what General Kadra was doing when you say he was running the scene.
General Kadra, when he came to the scene, he stood also near the Johannesburg Jimiston members where they were, and so General Khan with him, I think he stood with him for a long time, which I suspect maybe he was briefing him. And after briefing him, General Kadra spoke with some of the members from Jimiston office. That's what I'm saying. Both they were they were running the scene.
Okay, so General Kadwa's role was that he got a briefing from General Khan and then spoke to his members.
Yes.
All right. And then at paragraph 22, you say that you learned that after the drugs were stored at Pretoria West College, you say you learned that the number was no longer the same. You learned that from who?
From Pakola of K9.
And did you know what the initial number was and what the number that was submitted is?
No, I didn't. But from evidence led is when now I learn of the numbers.
I'm asking, at the time when you say Sergeant Pakula told you about the change in the quantity, and you say it was no longer the same quantity collected at the scene, instead the block of bricks was less by over 100 in number.
Yes.
So did you know what the number was before?
No, I didn't know the exact number. Which one was it?
All right, so you just took Sergeant Pakula's, what he was telling you about what happened with the drugs.
Yes.
Thank you. And then at paragraph 24, you say that General Khan took the driver of the truck where he was contained and moved him away from the scene so he can disappear. What do you mean that he can disappear?
That's the suspicion I had.
Okay.
Because the driver was detained, but General Khan took him out of the scene.
Okay.
Doesn't suspect he wanted him to disappear from the scene.
All right. And when you say there that on the day in question it was evident that certain individuals functioned as if they were above the law, when you say certain individuals, who do you mean?
I mean General Khan.
And you say it in the plural. Who else do you mean?
Both General Khan and Khan.
Okay. Thank you, Witness I. You can then proceed with the next topic, which is the investigations by IPID into the Aeroton drug bust. That's at paragraph 26 of your statement.
Okay. The Independent Police Investigative Directorate, IPID, investigated the events that occurred on 9 July 2021. As part of their recommendations, IPID specifically called for disciplinary action to be taken against Major General Khan for his conduct at the scene. I don't know from IPID what was recommended about all DPCI members and seniors. I was interviewed and gave my account of what transpired at the scene, providing a detailed description of the events as I witnessed them. I made sure to emphasize the actions of all involved parties, my concerns about the handling of the scene, and the sequence of instruction issued by the senior officers present. My statement was recorded as part of the ongoing investigation. Point number 28, Commissioner, I think I might be mistaken. I wrote during 2023. I believe it should be during 2024. During 2024, I also became aware of a departmental investigation by Major General Gerba, Mpumalanga DPCI Provincial Head, who was tasked to investigate Major General Kadwa and other DPCI members, as well as what transpired at the scene. I was told that Major General Gerba concluded that Generals Khan and Kadwa were doing their job. General Gerba interviewed me at DPCI head office in Silverton. I did not find this comforting. From information from various sources, allegations are that Major General Khan is known to oversee drug coming from KZN or Beam Party to transactions in relation to them. All these allegations are just hearsay, rumors said by various people, and I never investigated them or made follow-up on them.
Thank you, Witness. You can proceed with the next topic, events in and around the meeting of 29 January 2025.
But before that, let me ask a question on this last part. Do you have any idea whether General Libya ever became aware of these rumors that there was such talk? And you say it's hearsay, and I'm not placing it higher than that. I just want to know whether this, which was referred to as corridor talk by another witness, whether you ever became aware or have a reason or had a reason ever to think and believe that General Libya has had these rumors as well.
I'm not sure about that, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
Witness, you can go to paragraph 30 of your statement.
Thanks. Prior to dealing with the meeting of 29 January 2025, it is important for me to explain who Brown Mokgotsi is and my involvement with him. I first met Mr. Mokgotsi during 2020 around Rustenburg as a source who gave information about illegal conduct and practices around Northwest.
Witness, just one moment. Commissioners, there is a name in this section. I've already spoken to the witness to refer to that name as a colonel in crime intelligence. Witness, you can continue to paragraph 32.
But before you,
29 January.
Witness before you do that, in that paragraph 31 where you say you know Mr. Mokgotsi as a source who gave information about illegal conduct and practices around Northwest, as a source to you.
No, not to me.
Yes? Can you just...
You are said to be a businessman who knows a lot of things and frequently reports irregularities within the Northwest Province.
Okay, so you were told that by somebody, that's what he does?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
And did you ever get information of what kind of information, illegal conduct he reports on to Northwest?
No, they said just malpractice within the Northwest Province.
You say in 31 that you met him, so you did have a physical meeting with him in 2020?
No, maybe, Commissioner, I should have phrased it in another way.
Yes.
I saw him in 2020. It's like first time seeing him, it was that day. But I never communicated with him.
Okay, and when you saw him in 2020, what was the context? In what context did you get to see him or to be in the same space with him in 2020?
No, he was someone who was speaking aloud. I think we were at KFC. He's someone who was speaking aloud and who was it? I think it was Mike. A question. I said, who's this guy? He speaks aloud. They said, no, it's Brown. No, he's a businessman around here and he knows a lot of things which are happening here, which are irregular or are wrong.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And witness, have you ever run any operations with him?
No.
Thank you. Witness, you can proceed with paragraph 32.
Okay. On 29 January 2025, I met Mr. Mokgotsi and CI member. The meeting was facilitated by Mr. Vusi Matlala through Warrant Officer Faleni Zungu, now Captain. Captain Zungu called me and said there are people who want to consult with you in respect of a matter I'm a witness to involving General Khan. I asked who the people are which he did not disclose and where can I find them. Captain Zungu said they are at Aeroton Hotel in Sandton as we speak and I can find them there.
Witness I, this Captain Zungu, is he a member of the DPCI?
Then he was a member of DPCI, but now he moved.
Okay, thank you.
Witness, before you step off that paragraph, you say that Captain Zungu gave you the call. What facilitative role did Mr. Matlala play?
I don't know. He just informed me he was phoned by his source that there are people who want to see me.
Oh, so Captain Zungu was telling you that he heard from Mr. Matlala that people want to see you?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You can continue.
I went to the meeting venue with Warrant Officer Matlaba, who works under me at Tom's. And taking Warrant Officer Matlaba with me was in respect of assistant with state vehicle, as I was not in possession of any state vehicle, and he was. But Warrant Officer Matlaba stayed in the car when we got to the hotel. At the meeting in the hotel, I was directed to go by the couches next to the reception of hotel. I was surprised to find it was Mr. Brown Mokgotsi and CI member. I also know the CI member as we worked together at the DSO Scorpion before it was disbanded. I immediately suspected something sinister to come out of this meeting. I learned later that the meeting was recorded. I decided to play along. The CI member said they needed to fix things, meaning me making a statement clearing Major General Khan at the disciplinary hearing in respect of the drug bust at Aeroton. I refused and told him I couldn't change my statement as that will amount to perjury and I could be charged on that. I asked why I should do that and for what purpose. The CI guy said that I will get a bag and they will facilitate for me to get a promotion at work if I help Major General Khan. I explained that I will fight for my promotion as I already did by lodging a grievance for promotional post for which I had already been interviewed. I then informed them that they should bring the bag as suggested as a means of entrapping them. My intention in suggesting that they bring the bag was to see if they will go ahead with the bribery, then I will arrest them. As I departed, I explained everything to Warrant Officer Matlaba in the car and said I will await the next contact for a meeting, then we'll use Tom's office for bust on bribery. The above was never reported as it will get to ears of the targeted people and reporting will have been done after arrest to evade blocking or obstruction from seniors. They never brought the bag and never had any further discussion about the bag. I have never gone to KZN regarding the General Khan's matter. I have also never met Major General Khan as I never liked him since the Aeroton scene.
Thank you, witness. I can continue.
During January 2025, I was phoned by Major General...
So please read the headings as well.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner. Major General Khan disciplinary hearing. During January 2025, I was phoned by Major General Kumalo, District Commissioner of KZN, informing me that I will be receiving a subpoena to come lead evidence on a disciplinary matter against General Khan on what happened at Aeroton scene. and that General Khumalo will be employer representative and General Nkoana will be chairperson of the hearing. I consulted with General Khumalo at task force offices in Pretoria West in preparation for the hearing as a witness on the case.
Yes,
All members.
Witness I. The General Khumalo here, it is still Major General Khumalo, not
Yeah,
Lieutenant.
the district. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All members who were witnesses led evidence from 17 February 2025 to 21st February 2025 as planned and arranged with General Khumalo. Statements made which depict what transpired on the said day were used as evidence in the disciplinary hearing. Around end of February 2025, I found out that Lieutenant General Nkoana had acquitted Major General Khan for reasons unclear to me. Why I say unclear to me is the fact that acquittal verdict, General Nkoana said witnesses were not clear and contradicted each other. He also noted that the evidence was not sufficient. Should I go to the next topic?
Yes, please.
The title is My Knowledge of Mr. Vusiket Matlala. I know Mr. Vusi Matlala as he was an informer that assisted Toms with tip-offs regarding several successful operations. The tip-offs came through Captain Faleni Zungu, who worked at Toms, resulted in the permanent arrest of mostly wanted, feared and dangerous suspects, Skumbuzo Dlamini and James Nkoana, aka John Wick. I didn't know cases against Vusi Matlala when Captain Zungu was dealing with him as an informer, except later what was on the news and social media. The only thing which was known to me was that Ket is a businessman having several companies. I've heard of the allegations that Mr. Vusi Matlala is using SAPS to eliminate his opposition. This is unknown to me as I never had an operation or been involved in an operation where Toms was used by any individual. The first time I met Mr. Vusi Matlala was when Brigadier Nkoana was trying to extort him, Mr. Vusi Matlala, using me and Captain Zungu. After the John Wick scene, Brigadier Nkoana claimed the scene was a hit. He asked me and Captain Zungu to call Ket and we met at Kolbane Golf Shooting Range. Brigadier Nkoana said he had a source or a complainant from General Libya's office which had evidence to the fact that the John Wick scene was a hit, and Brigadier Nkoana wanted to consult with Mr. Matlala to see how he can fix this. By fixing it meant that Mr. Matlala pays something so Brigadier Nkoana can give to the source in order to keep the source quiet. Mr. Vusi Matlala was surprised.
Witness, just before you move from that, when you say after the John Wick scene, in the previous paragraph you said John Wick was one of the feared and dangerous suspects that was permanently arrested. So is the John Wick scene that arrest, or is it something else? Because you say the scene was a hit.
Yes.
So what is the John Wick scene? The arrest, or is it something else?
The permanent arrest, yes.
All right.
Do you describe a arrest as a hit? Because you say in that paragraph 43 that the scene was a hit. Is an arrest a hit?
No, the suspect on that scene were fatally wounded, Commissioner.
So where you say the scene was a hit, you mean where a scene where John Wick was fatally shot or wounded?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Boy.
You can continue, Witness I. Paragraph 44.
Paragraph
44.
Yes. Mr. Vusi Matlala was surprised and denied everything alleged by Brigadier Nkoana and said investigation can continue and the perpetrators be arrested. At the meeting, I asked Brigadier Nkoana if we could have a meeting with the source and get more details and facts. Brigadier Nkoana refused the request. He said, I cannot consult with the source as it is a high-profile matter of top secret dealt with between him, National Head, General Libya, and source. I noted that this is a non-existent, as by then Brigadier Nkoana did not have top secret clearance and observed me and Zungu are just being used in an attempt to extort money from Mr. Matlala.
Witness, before you move on to the next, when you say that you and Zungu are being used, in what sense? Is it just to introduce Brigadier Nkoana to Mr. Matlala, or was there more to it? No,
personally, because at the end I noted that this thing of a source or complainant is non-existent. So that's why I say we were just being used.
Thank you, Witness. You can move on to the next topic where you deal with the Sun City case.
Okay, title it's Sun City, case 41 of 9/2024. I have also been asked to speak about case number Sun City 41 of 9/2024. This case stems from what happened at Sun City in Northwest, leading to Rustenburg SAPS Sun City case 41 of 9/2025 and Tom's inquiry 7 of 9, 2024. The complainants are known to the Commission. This relates to the interference and involvement of Lieutenant General Mboto. On 6 August 2024, Tom's unit arrested 17 suspects and seized 32 firearms. The suspects were booked at Sun City Police Station, and Lieutenant-Colonel Nkoana, then he was a captain, approached my team informing me he is there to take over the case as it fell within DPCI Northwest jurisdiction and mandate. I agreed as I was the one who made calls requesting members of DPCI Northwest to take over the docket. Before a docket was opened, Toms went there and operated on Tom's inquiry 7 of 9, 2024 on allegations of possessions of illegal firearms. Lieutenant-Colonel Nkoana informed me he is there as per instruction of Lieutenant General Mboto. At the time, he was Major General Mboto, was the provincial head of Northwest of DPCI. Due to lack of space at Sun City Police Station, the suspects were detained at Rustenburg Police Station. We arrived at Rustenburg SAPS after 1800 hours on 6 August 2024. Lieutenant-Colonel Nkoana requested me to answer a call he was busy with his mobile number. As I was taking the phone from Lieutenant-Colonel Nkoana, Lieutenant-Colonel Nkoana informed me beforehand that he was speaking with General Mboto and that the general wanted to speak with me. During the conversation I had with General Mboto, he asked me why Toms arrested security guards with registered firearms as he was told by Colonel Nkoana. I informed General Mboto that it was a lie as the security which was found at the scene was tight security whose members were wearing black security uniform. I informed him that the Toms team checked the firearms they had and confirmed that they had registered permits for all firearms in their possession. The 17 suspects arrested were in civilian clothing and there were no registered permits and licenses to possess firearms for all 32 firearms seized. General Mboto was insisting firearms belonged to security company and are legal. That was his final stand on the phone. Lieutenant-Colonel Nkoana was with Toms for the night at Rustenburg SAPS, insisting that the arrested people were security and the firearms seized had permits. Information availed to Toms from sources was that the arrested suspects were hitmen or Inkabi, hired and working for Ms. Mpopo. Lieutenant-Colonel Nkoana was on his cell phone for most of the night with General Mboto. The Toms team processed the suspects and detained them and booked all 32 firearms in the SAP-13. After midnight on 7 August 2024, I received a call from my section head, Brigadier Smith, who informed me that the national head, Lieutenant General Libya, was trying to call me and I was not answering his calls. Brigadier Smith asked me to call back the national head. After 0100, I saw a missed call from the national head and went to the car to call him back. General Libya wanted to know the basis upon which Toms arrested the 17 suspects and seized 32 firearms. I explained and General Libya informed me that the firearms registry works 24 hours and I can contact them and check the 32 firearms seized if they are registered, and if so, we can hand them back. I objected to the suggestion of General Libya, explaining that arrest is not only on legitimacy of firearms, but on fact that the suspects allegedly fired shots at innocent members of the public on the mine plant 2 days back, on Wednesday, the 4th of August, 2024. I therefore wanted all 32 firearms to be sent to ballistics to be assessed and checked to identify firearms that shot on the said day. General Libya acknowledged my explanation and said that he will not interfere with my work and that I should do as planned with my Toms team. Later in the same morning, Brigadier Smith phoned me and informed me that General Mboto said that the whole team of Toms that operated on the scene must go back to the police station and make statements, as the statements made when opening the case might be incomplete and the case may not be placed on the court roll on Monday, the 9th of September 2024, which was incorrect, as requests that we go back and make statement was to display a sense that suspects were innocent. I informed all members of Toms that were present on scene that we go back and meet at Rustenburg SAPS again to provide statements. The same day, after 1300 hours on arrival at Rustenburg SAPS, Toms team found and communicated with Colonel Nkoana as instructed. Colonel Nkoana wanted to lead Toms members on what to write and say in their statements, which Colonel Nkoana insisted was as per the instruction of General Mboto. I refused and instructed members to write what really transpired, and I also wrote a statement attached here as to. The TOMS team left Rustenburg SAPS expecting the 17 suspects to appear in court on 9 August 2024, and also that the 32 firearms seized will be sent to ballistic for testing as normal procedure and protocol. I learned after a few days that nothing is expected to happen to the arrested suspect and seized exhibits. It is alleged that the suspects never went to court but were released for unknown reasons, and all firearms seized were returned back to the suspects. Attached S3, its success report written at TOMS office with all details of suspects and firearms seized. My conclusion and suspicion on the above matter are corrupt activities by SAPS senior members with a suspected individual named Ms. Mpopowe, who is alleged to use threats and violence against innocent members of the public for mining rights. After the scene at Sun City, there were rumors and allegations made on the streets that Brigadier Nkoana is collecting protection fee from Ms. Mpopowe every month, suspected to be for him and General Mboto. This can be further corroborated by the fact that General Mboto, after his appointment as Divisional Commissioner of DPCI, visited the TOMS office to introduce himself and meet the team, but started making threats to the unit during the introduction. He insisted that all members must inform him of every work-related movement and that no member should conduct work outside Gauteng without his knowledge and approval. He also mentioned that members need to explain themselves what operations, why and where. The whole time he was at office, he was threatening members and promising to deal with them. He also indicated that he does not want like the TOMS unit, and that he intends talking to the national head that TOMS falls under General Flynn because he does not want TOMS near him. All allegations above were never investigated further by any member from TOMS, and don't know if DPCI Northwest also investigated the allegations. Brown Mokgotsi alleged he participated in this operation at Sun City, which he was not. I only briefed him of the case and corruption in his province.
Thank you, Witness I. In relation to this case, did you ever report it to anyone?
Yeah, after a year, I reported the matter to IPIT. I reported the matter to IPIT, and nothing was done by IPIT in the sense that when I asked status, they said the same docket is still under investigation and there's nothing they could do. Around 2025, I wrote an email to Ian Cameron, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Police in Parliament, about that and conduct of General Mboto.
And in relation to the IPIT report, do you know who the investigating officer was in that regard?
It was Takalani Maposh.
And then in relation to Mr. Ian Cameron, did you ever get a response?
There were, I believe, 2 or 3 conversations, because the initial email, as I requested Mr. Ian Cameron to have a meeting with me, and he responded in relation to what I said. I will explain everything when we meet in person, not through email. He said, no, he can't secure an appointment with me if I don't give him a title of what we are going to discuss. I explained that it's in relation to conduct of General Mboto and Brigadier Nkoana. Ever since I gave him the title, he never came back to me to date.
All right. And then, Witness I, just to go back to paragraph 52, I just have one clarity question there, where you talk about the call you received from Brigadier Smith informing you that General Mboto wanted you to go back to the scene to make statements as the statements were incomplete. In your words, you say, later in the morning, Brigadier Smith phoned me and informed me that General Mboto said that the whole team of TOMS that operated on the scene must go back to the police station and make statements, as the statements made when opening the case might be incomplete and the case may not be placed on the roll on Monday, and you give the date. Then you say in brackets, which was incorrect, as request that we go back and make statement was to display a sense that suspects were innocent. What do you mean? Are you trying to convey to us that they were trying to get you to change those statements, indicating that the people arrested were innocent?
Yes, Commissioner, because when we got back, Colonel Nkoana said he wanted to instruct my members on what to put on the statements, which I refused to.
And what did he want you to put on the statements?
No, we never got to details of what he wanted, because immediately he said, on statements you need to indicate. I said, no, you can't be instructing members on what to write because they were on the scene. They know what really transpired. They'll write everything that transpired on the scene. You need not to guide them. That's what I said.
All right, thank you. And then at paragraph 48, where you talk about the call that you received from General Mboto, you indicated that he was insisting that the firearms belong to security company and that they're legal. Was he asking you to do something, or was he just telling you that that was his view?
He was telling me that was his view, but in giving me his view, I sensed that maybe he wanted us to release the suspects with the firearms.
All right, thank you. Those are the clarity-seeking questions on my side, Commissioners.
Can I just ask a clarity question? Witness I, at paragraph 57 of your statement, where you speak about Mr. Mokgotsi, you say you briefed him of the case and corruption in his province, but I'm more interested in the case. Why would you brief him on this case in particular? You don't give a context. There's no history of your ever discussing, at least in your statement, of you discussing this case with him or any involvement of his in this case. So, and absent that kind of context, it's a statement that appears suddenly that you briefed him. Why would you do that?
Commissioner, when I met him with the CI member 29 January, he asked me about the case. He said, are you the one who was working on the scene of Sun City? I said, yes.
And then after that, did you talk to him about this case? This is a case, this is a case in 2024. And then when you meet him in January, he asks you about it.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah. And apart from this asking and you answering him, was there any other interaction about this case? When he testified, as I recall, I think he relied on photographs, on what he said were photographs of the scene with some people lying on the ground and I think some weapons on the ground. And that was for him to show us that he was involved in that operation. Where would he have gotten that?
I'm not sure if when I briefed him, I showed him the picture or what. Okay,
so that it's possible. You think you would have had to share them with him for him to produce them at the commission. You think you might have done that? You may have shared that with him.
I think I might have done that, Commissioner.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
What would have been your reason to brief Mr. Mokgotsi about the case and the corruption in his province?
No, he asked about the case. He said, was it another Maluleke who was leading the team or it was yourself on Thursday?
Okay, let me just check this with you. I may have my facts wrong. Is this the same case that involved an alleged Zamazama kingpin who was wanted by the police?
No, this one, it involves a person who's taking mining rights from lawful owners of the mining rights.
But he's not a Zamazama kingpin.
Commissioner, I don't know if you labeled as a Zamazama kingpin.
No, I'm asking you because you are the one who says you briefed Mokgotsi about this case. So if you say to me this case has nothing to do with the Zamazama kingpin, I will leave it at that. So it's not about you labeling the person or not.
Okay, Commissioner.
So can you just clarify that for me? Does it or does it not involve an alleged Zamazama kingpin?
We could label it either way, Commissioner, because the person takes away mining rights from lawful owners and mines on those mines. So the person will be behaving like a Zamazama because the plants where will be mining does not belong to him, is the one which she hijacked or took by force.
Yeah. And then lastly, this may seem insignificant to you, but we are looking at the bigger picture and trying to make sense and connecting the dots of all the things. Because at a certain point, Mr. Mokgotsi had a discussion with Minister Mkunu about whether a person has been arrested or not and whether an arrest has been made. And when this commission asked him who he was referring to, and it was around the same time, December, January 2025, he said the discussion was about an alleged kingpin in the Northwest. So that's why I'm trying to understand if this is the same person and you are the one who briefed Mr. Mokgotsi about this case.
No, Commissioner, our operation, the arrest was in September 2024. Maybe he was referring to another matter, not ours.
So with this one, the arrest was in September 2024?
Yes, Commissioner.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Khumalo, just on that, the arrest in this instance was of the hitman, and the arrest that Mr. Mokgotsi was referring to was when the Zamazama kingpin himself was actually arrested, and that was in December, Jan.
That's exactly the question I'm asking.
Yes, no, just to clarify that.
I was not asking about the hitman. I specifically asked about the alleged Zamazama kingpin. But if this witness cannot assist, then I will leave it there.
Witness I, can I just clarify? In this Sun City case, in paragraph 45, you give us it's two things, in fact, that I want to ask about. The one is you have a Sun City case number, and then you have a Tom's inquiry number. I had understood, and perhaps I misunderstood, I had understood from previous evidence that an inquiry number or an inquiry is opened if there are no known suspects. And Yeah, let me stop there. If there are no known suspects. Am I wrong in that understanding?
No, Commissioner.
So why would you have an inquiry number if there are known people here, either because Mboto is the known suspect or the people that you arrested? Why inquiry number?
Commissioner, when allegations were brought to our office, I opened inquiry number so members can start doing preliminary investigation on.
I see.
I will say we were fortunate on this matter that not long after the inquiry has been opened, the suspect shot at public members and we had to react and act on it.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then still on that same paragraph, you've given us the names of the complainants. Are these complainants against General Mboto or against the suspect who takes people's mining rights?
They are against the suspect who takes mining rights.
I see.
Because the suspect was taking their mining rights.
And these people are civilians, these complainants here?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. And then paragraph 46, where we're still in the Sun City CAS number. Tom's unit arrested 17 suspects. Does Tom's operate across the country? It doesn't have jurisdiction boundaries. Is that what it means, that you did an arrest in the Northwest?
Yeah, it's a national unit, Commissioner, servicing all units within DPCI national.
Okay. Oh, okay. Then in paragraph 46, when you receive information about incidents that are happening or this complaint that relates to the Northwest, how does it work that you then operationalize this from, as I understand, from head office? You don't relay it to Northwest to operationalize. I know you say you did give it over to Kekwane. You invited them to become involved with this, but that from the outset, you went on and did an operation instead of alerting Northwest TOMS or DPCI to deal with it. How does it work normally?
At TOMS, Commissioner, we operate nationally everywhere. And at some instances, when we need the provincial police unit members for assistance, we request that.
Okay. So when General Mboto says you must not work outside of Gauteng without notifying him or informing him, effectively that direction is limiting the what you say as a matter of law. You have the jurisdiction to do. You operate everywhere, and then he gives his directive that you may not work outside of Gauteng without him knowing.
Commissioners, the generals are informed whenever TOMS is working out of the province because itineraries are signed by the general. Here, the problem is that General Mboto wants to know all nitty-gritties of the matter, what you are working on, who are the suspects, what's happening, which is seen as conflicting, in that as a general, they should only be concerned with success of the unit once arrest has been made, not knowledge of the suspects being addressed or being dealt with by the unit.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Witness I. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Witness I. We continue tomorrow at 9:30. Let's adjourn.
Thanks, Commissioners.